Yeah, I mean, well, we did the which one did we did the
Naruto
Naruto
was the last
tier?
one last. Yeah, that was the last
Yeah,
thing we did.
and I figured we do Marvel in honor of Black Widow. That's finally gonna drop this week, and then of course Loki series is like on its last two episodes, and then everybody is waiting for the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which is probably gonna be bonk. I don't think they're gonna reveal too much of a crazy stuff. Like you're not gonna get the other Spider-Mans in that trailer, but you might get a Doctor Octopus and an Electro in that first trailer drop.
Yeah, I expect. I mean, I hope they at least show off Doc Ock or Electro because that's something we know is going to be in there. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I guarantee they won't.
Spill the
They won't.
beans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guarantee they won't show the Spider Mans, but they should. But they'll probably hold that off for the movie. At least I hope they do. I want to watch the movie and generally be like, yes, they are here.
yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
see.
So overdue Bobcat 50. So we got another tier list. We're gonna be going through the MCU films and we're gonna be ranking them just like we did in the Naruto tier list. I'm excited for this one because there's so many. There's what 23 MCU films.
23. Yeah, we got 23
Oof,
NC. I know. More to come.
23. So we're gonna jump right into this. Just to let you guys know, on my end, on my YouTube channel, Dan the Man Reviews, go ahead and like this video so we could move this video, the algorithm, and everything. Also, subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of videos on my channel, but this is the raw portion, and I will be uploading the edited version. So you can see our tier list later on. So welcome whoever is on here, and of course, overdue Bobcat 50. You're over there, man, on Twitch, right?
Yes, you can find me at Overdue Bobcat on Twitch. I do a lot of video game streams. I do these podcast streams with Dan here. I've been doing a couple of those tier lists and everything. I just like to do live streams, have fun. I love when people come on and chat with me. So,
How about those TikToks?
oh yeah, I need to start doing those more. I started a little TikTok channel. I want to try to see if I can do some funny skits. I think
Tik
I'm going
tik
to try to see what I
TikTok
find.
seems to be always blowing up.
It
You always
does, and
see talks. Yeah.
it's super easy to get views on that thing. So,
Okay,
yeah.
let's go right into it. So overdue. Like you go first, man. What are we
Yeah.
talking first?
All right, so let's pick a movie. How about let's start off with like the very first one, the one that like everyone forgets is part of the MCU. Let's just go off to the first one, the Incredible Hulk.
Okay, so this is the one with Edward Norton.
Yeah, Edward Norton, Incredible
Yeah,
Hulk, which we always for I didn't even know for like a long time. I forgot that was even part of the MCU. Like
yeah.
consider,
They really brushed that aside just because of the recasting with Mark
yeah.
Ruffalo. Um, yeah, man. What'd you think about that film, The Incredible Hulk?
It's been a long time since I watched it, but I remember like I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. It's a
Yeah,
little forgettable, but I did enjoy it. I remember enjoying it a lot, loving the Hulk and him smashing stuff. I kind of like the final fight between him and Abomination.
which he will
Uh,
be in Shang-Chi. He'll be
I
fighting
saw that,
Wong.
which
Yeah,
is
Abomination is back,
I hope
baby.
that I hope that's like a good little scene. I hope that's not just some little tiny cameo. I hope
Uh,
that's like
I think it's a little scene, honestly.
yeah.
But I think Abomination might be in She-Hulk series. So they're
Okay.
bringing because it Timothy Roth, I believe, is the actor's name. It's been in Reservoir
Uh,
Dogs, and
yeah, yeah,
I think he is going on that She-Hulk series. But it's cool to see him in Shang-Chi, though.
yeah. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Did
It's cool
you
to see him back.
did you like Abomination and Incredible Hulk?
I don't think I think he was kind of like overall underwhelming. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember he's kind of just another bit like definitely for the beginning of MC like a basic kind of villain that was just there and
Yeah.
like he just plays that like oh I'm the just like the hero but I'm bad kind of thing and that's just what he was and that's what MCU did for a while on a
Yeah,
couple
they
of their
did.
villains.
They did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Incredible Hulk. Do you think it was the right choice to go Mark Ruffalo for the MCU, or did you like Edward Norton's take in this movie?
I didn't mind Edward Norton's take. I liked him, but I do think Mark Ruffalo is a better cast. I like his kind of nerdy, little more nerdiness, I guess, to
Yeah,
him. I think it's really funny. I think it works well with the like that super angry buff, Hulk guy, but he's actually just really this nerdy, nerd.
yeah.
and Ruffalo. Now that's an awkward guy, and I think it's a good. I think he does it very well.
I really like Edward Norton. I think it would have been. I think they both bring something to the table for the Incredible Hulk. I even
Yeah.
liked Eric Bana. I hated that movie, The one
Okay.
before that, Eric Bana was the Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I liked him as Bruce, or maybe it was he was another name in there. But Edward Norton, like that was another one where I was like, man, I wonder what, because he was the bigger star. He's the bigger star. He's the more well known named. So I kind of wanted to see him act along with Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson. I think that would have been really cool. But we got Mark Ruffalo, and he was great. And this movie, I remember watching. I watched it twice in the theater. So I watched it the first time, and I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of good action scenes in there. It was a lot better than the last one. I still had a bad taste of was the Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
This was it was entertaining. The romance was a hit or miss. Honestly, they had Liv Taylor in there.
Yeah.
I just remember all the chase sequences that were really good. And I remember the when they were doing the soda factory, and I guess a little bit of his blood or whatever got Stan Lee cameo. He drinks one of those, and he's like, "Whoa, what is this?" Abomination was cool. I liked the evolution of him, but I needed more of him or something, like you said, a little bit different. But I did like the fight overall at the end. So the first time I saw it in a regular theater. The second time I saw it when it was it was midnight showing of Avengers, and I went to the AMC Burbank Theater with my friends, and we were doing the marathon. So that means all Phase 1 MCU movies leading up to the premiere of the Avengers, the first one.
Yeah.
And then the Incredible Hulk was one of them. So AMC Theater has amazing sound. Like, their sound system is bonkers. So when he does this little clap to disintegrate the fire, and when he does that, like, you feel that rumble, that loud sound in the theater, and it's like, it makes the movie 10 times better. It's kind of like watching a mediocre movie. Let's say, like, I saw I Am Legend, and a lot of people were like, but I saw that in IMAX, and it made it 1,000 times better. So the Incredible Hulk, I really enjoyed it. I actually think it's kind of out of all these movies that we're going to be talking about, I think it's like underrated. I think it's actually a pretty damn good movie. Not a lot of people know that Robert Downey Jr. makes a cameo at the end.
I forget about that.
Yeah, so he makes a cameo at the end. So it is technically part of the MCU, but they want to kind of, like, wash that away. So actually, Chase, I'm gonna put it at a B level.
All right, I'm gonna go C, just because to me it does have, like, it is kind of a forgettable Marvel movie. It's kind of one we just don't think about. I think there are some good qualities about it, but I do prefer Mark Ruffalo's over Edward Norton.
I guess we gotta just real quick explain the ranking system real quick. So I put Incredible Hulk at B. Chase puts it at C. So why don't you explain what this ranking is all about?
Yeah, so I kept it pretty simple. Basically, S tier down, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. S is the best of the best. D is the lowest of the low. So as it goes down, it's kind of the lesser we think of the movie. So, like, S tier is the best. A tiers are really good. B tier is kind of in that middle ground. C tier, it's not bad, but maybe missing something. And then D tier, it's just not good, really. Yeah. So that's how we're ranking it. It's kind of just on personal opinion. So there could be multiple movies in each row. We're not doing 1 through 22. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people want another Hulk solo film. It seems like these things just don't really come together as much as you want it to. I mean, you got Thor Ragnarok. He was a co-star in there. A lot of people want Planet Hulk. I want to. You know what? What Disney Plus should be doing is gearing up for a Hulk series. But I think the rights are with Universal, so there's like a pretty much a sharing of rights. It's kind of like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I think a Hulk, I mean, so far, they seem to be keeping him as a side character because I think that's where they feel comfortable with him right now because I don't think they feel comfortable putting him in a lead role.
I think he needs to get stronger. I think it was kind of a disappointment in Endgame where I like Professor Hulk a lot, but they really, like, depowered him a lot.
They depowered him really bad in Endgame, which is probably the biggest disappointment of Endgame.
Yeah.
Was that.
But give me a Hulk versus Wolverine movie, and that's going to be, like,
oh my god,
great.
Oh my god, all right. What should we do next? What's the next movie?
I think we should talk about. We talked about Hulk. I want to talk about Ant-Man.
Okay. You were talking about Ant-Man recently with me. I
I,
think you
I
sent me a text about it.
Yeah, I watched the second one, and you know what? I really, really enjoy these movies. I know a lot of people think they're meh, and they're a little
Yeah.
bit, just not as good as the other films on this list. But I kind of disagree. I think Ant Man, like, I'm Paul Rudd to me is really good as Scott Lang, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's hilarious in these movies, but he has this charm and this ability for us to really watch and engage in him because we really like Paul Rudd as the actor, and we
Mhm.
really kind of like this character. So the first Ant Man when it came out, I wasn't really looking forward to it because I was like, yeah, I don't know, it's because of the drama behind the scenes. Edgar Wright, who directed and who made Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, like this dude is in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic director. This was actually the first MCU movie that was in development. This is supposed to be the granddaddy of it, and it just
Really?
with Edgar Wright, yeah. And there was a lot of drama, and it fell apart. And Edgar Wright left, and then they got the director who did Rocketeer, I believe. I believe it's, or maybe somebody else. But anyway, so yeah, Ant Man. Like when I saw the teaser, I thought that was pretty dope. The Comic Con teaser, I was like, oh, it's pretty fun. This guy's. I didn't know too much about Ant Man, and I kind of did my research and knew more.
Yeah.
So this first film is kind of like Incredible Hulk. I really had a great time with it. There's some scenes in here that's very cheeky and playful. That's really good. I think the villain's look is awesome. I think the villain himself, though, is weak. MCU usually has really bad trouble having memorable villains.
Yeah.
But I think everything that works, man. Michael Douglas as the original Ant-Man is awesome. They have the chick from Yvonne Lilly or whatever
Mhm.
as Wasp. That was great. I like the chemistry they have. So this first movie, the Baskin Robbins, it was the Baskin Robbins thing joke was
Yeah.
pretty funny. The heist, I like that idea. I like how it's a heist film. So the first Ant Man, I really enjoy the hell of it, man. I think it's a B rank. I think it's right there with Incredible Hulk, where I still remember some scenes from the film. I still really much enjoyed it, and I could put it on, and it could be played either me sitting down watching it or me washing the dishes or doing something, and it's on the background, and I kind of like peek my head and watch a
Yeah.
little bit of the film. It was a good it was a good first film for Ant Man, and then I think we start growing to love the character even more when he pops into Civil War. I think Ant Man 2, Infinity War and Endgame too. So, or I should say just Endgame.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna put it actually on a B level because it did it I had low expectations and it really kind of like kicked those expectations down.
Yeah, I'm you kind of hit it on the nose. I'm going B level too. I think the Ant-Man movies, I think Ant-Man himself is one of the most relatable and kind of lovable characters in the MCU. I think Paul Rudd he's Paul Rudd. He's such an excellent actor. He's such an excellent comedic actor, and
Yeah.
he just nails this role. I love like his power and stuff like that, the shrink and everything. I do find that really fun too. Like I love some of the action scenes, like when they're fighting over the train, stuff like that, like the toy train.
Hmm.
I find that all really fun. I find the action like some of the funnest to watch whenever Ant-Man's involved.
Yeah.
And you're right about the villain. The look is super dope, but the villain is very like
Yeah.
generic. Again, he's just like Incredible Hulk. He's Ant-Man, but he's evil. That's basically what he is.
Yeah.
What do they call him? They call him Yellow Jacket, right? I believe his
Yellow
name's Yellow
Jacket. Yeah.
Jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find what do you think about the fight itself? Yellow Jacket versus Ant Man at the end.
I like I said, I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun because I love this how it's just on that toy train and
Yeah.
like just like all the things they do with the fact that he's a tiny person with
Yeah. The
like
shrinking
fingers.
element of it
Yeah,
is really cool. Yeah.
that's what makes the movie a lot of fun and really enjoyable to watch at times. It was just the shrinking part of it and how he gets shrinking. And yeah, Paul Rudd does become more lovable as you watch more of him in the MCU. I loved him in Civil War, and particularly in Endgame he was great. He's a very likable character.
I will say at first when I watched Ant-Man, I didn't like the soundtrack, but then as over time and the theme, I actually really love it. Like the theme to Ant-Man is, I think that's probably up there as the second most best theme out of all these movies.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a heist kind of theme.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really cool. It really fits
yeah,
in a lot of the set pieces that they do in the
yeah.
movie.
And
So you're
we can't forget what's his name, Michael Per, his friend. The one that whenever he
oh
talk
oh
he
yeah shoots, what's his name?
I forget his name. I forget the character and the actor's name, but he's really funny.
Well, it's Michael Pena, isn't it?
Michael Pena. Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Pena. I was trying to get the last name right.
The scene where he tells the story.
Yes,
That's like the most popular one. Yeah.
It's so funny. He needs to do the entire MCU. He needs to tell the story of the entire MCU.
That is so good. They do it again in a sequel.
Yeah.
I think at that point, Falcon in that movie makes an appearance too. That's the cameo.
In the first one.
Yeah, in the first one. Yeah. So that everybody remembers him like retelling the story, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
So you're ranking it B, huh?
I'm going B. Yeah, I think he's right middle ground. Love Paul Rudd. Not a great film.
So we got Incredible Hulk and we got Ant-Man, the first one, down. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the next one. Your choice, dealer's choice.
Let's go. Where's it at? I'm looking for it. Let's go. Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh, nice pick.
We're gonna start off with with the origin stories. I tell you what, I'm gonna say this now, and you're gonna realize it as I'm ranking these. Captain America movies, all three of them, are better than the Iron Man movies, and I loved the first Captain America movie.
No, I totally agree.
It's one that people don't talk about enough because the other two Captain America movies are great, are some of the best.
Yeah,
but Captain America: The First Avenger is really good in my opinion. I rewatched it. At first, I always kind of forgot about the movie. I forgot about the First Avenger, and then when I rewatched all the MCU, I realized that was one of the best origin movies for a lot of these heroes.
Mm-hmm. And then I referenced the Rocketeer director. He actually directed this film. So the same guy who directed Rocketeer directed Captain America: The First Avenger, and you could totally see, if you've seen Rocketeer, you could see all the elements of that movie really into this one. So yeah, keep going, man. You're on the nose. You're on the nose right now.
Yeah, no, I don't like rewatching and stuff like that. It's kind of a lot on just how much I love Captain America and I love his ideals. Like his scene where he's a smaller, skinny kid, and they throw a grenade and he's the one to jump up on it. It just kind of from that moment on, it showed you exactly who Captain America is, and he never wavers from that throughout the entire MCU, its entire stay throughout it. And Captain America, him becoming big and him, I don't know. I fell in love with Captain America rewatching his movies, and the first Captain America movie just showed me why I loved him so much, and I'm having a hard time explaining it. Mm-hmm. But setting that aside, the action in the movie is really good. Captain America fighting is always really fun. The hand-to-hand combat. I love the scene where he first gets out and he's chasing that dude down the street, and he's just running full bore, like that. Yeah. It's kind of his first getting used to his little new strength and all that. Mm-hmm. I loved his struggle with the fact that they tried to just use him as advertisement and propaganda when he was really needed to be a hero.
Yeah, the circus monkey out angle.
Yep. Yeah. I loved how that struggle. I loved his relationship with, of course, the future Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, and it's of course the start of the one of the most interesting romances in the MCU of him and Peggy. Yeah. So I think the Captain America: The First Avenger was kind of the best of the startups for the MCU when it comes to MCU movies.
So like Captain America, man. Like I grew up as a kid. I grew up, of course, Spider-Man was my number one.
Hmm.
But I grew up with Iron Man. I actually was a fan of Iron Man before like this whole blow up. I used to watch the anime series. I always thought Iron Man was like a Spaniard, a rich Spaniard, dude. Um, so I grew up with them. Cap showed up in an animated series a couple times. I
Yeah.
know he's big in, or not big, but he's in the comics and all that stuff. I didn't gravitate towards Cap and other media,
Mhm.
but the films has done such a fantastic. Chris Evans has done a fantastic job. So watching this first Cap movie, dude, I like fell in love with the character. I thought the character was a Boy Scout like Superman, but yet he
Mhm.
wasn't. But
Yeah.
you could feel that he meant every word he was saying, every action he did. So of course that famous scene when he does like go on the fake grenade. Love the casting of Tommy Lee Jones as one of the main sergeant in the war. The film, I mean, it holds a special place in my heart because it was one of the last films I saw with my grandpa, and me and my papa would always watch movies together. I think that's where I
Yeah.
got my love for it. So of course, I don't think he expected a superhero movie because he loves his war movies. He did enjoy it, but I think he was taken aback. And this is crazy, Chase. This is like the first step to like this huge superhero genre blowing up as it did. So
Yeah.
this was like one of the first films. I mean, you had Blade, you had all that, but this was the first like connected film out of this universe. And
Yeah.
I think they did a hell of a job. I mean, there's such a lot of memorable moments in here. I think Red Skull needs to come back. He was portrayed awesome in the film.
Hmm.
There's some corny stuff in here. There's a lot of corny stuff. There's Bucky falling off the train. I felt like could have been done better. There is some Red Skull like moments where it feels like a comic book that doesn't really go on a screen too well.
Yeah.
Um, there's there is there's something there where it doesn't for me it doesn't give it like a masterpiece film, but there's a lot of things there. Oh, and I guess you could say at the time the
Yeah.
CGI they didn't have that big of a budget at that point. It gets better, of course, with Winter Soldier and Civil War. But I think this film, for what it was, it delivered in all aspects of who this character is going to be, who you want to root for, I mean, I don't think I've ever questioned any of the movies if he was the leader or not, because he is. He's
Yeah.
showcased in this film. The relationship with him and Peggy is really good. I love Peggy. I think Peggy's a strong character in general. I did
Yeah.
watch Agent of Carter for a little bit. The show was okay, but I mean, if they ever brought Peggy back, like into What If, I'm excited for that because she's like the Captain
Yeah.
America, right?
Hmm.
Red Skull, like I said, needs to be brought back. The score was really good. The score really fits Cap. I like the ending of the film, how they set up, him being. I really like that where they kind of like try to ease him into it,
Yeah.
and they're playing a baseball game. He's like, I already know what the outcome is that. Then he kind of runs out. Chris Evans like nails it in this film, and I think if it wasn't for this first go around, if it wasn't like how first impressions mean everything,
Yeah.
this first impression, like from when he enters to after he's done, like Cap is by far probably my favorite MCU character in this whole thing. I think I even rank him a little bit over Tony, just
Yeah.
because how earnest and honest this character is throughout not only this film but throughout the others. I can't go S. I can't go S because there is some goofiness to it.
Yeah.
There is little things here and there where I thought could have been handled a little bit better. But for a first like outing of Cap and for such a big tonal shift from the first one to Winter Soldier, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give the first Avenger a rank A.
That's what, yeah. That's where I put it. I put it right on A. It's not a masterpiece. It's not like the best of the Marvel movies. It's
Yeah.
definitely it's not even the best of the Captain America movies, but it's a really damn good movie. And I think it might be the best of that. I think it was at phase one before the Avengers. I love it's probably mainly because Chris Evans
Hmm.
can lead any of these movies. You put Chris Evans in the front as Captain America, and he can lead any of those movies into the right direction.
And I gotta say, the best suit is in this movie.
Yeah,
His
his
army
suit
is
yeah,
pretty dope.
it's
Pretty
badass.
fantastic.
That's what my backpack, the one you got me. I don't even know where it's at right now.
Yeah.
That backpack, it kind of has more of that army style to it, and I love it. I would love it so much more.
I would say I wish that his team, his like crew could have been a little bit better. It gets a little wacky at some points, especially when Tom Lee Jones is driving that car at the end.
Yeah.
But there's so much to like. Like you said, the chase scene is a memorable one. Just him transforming is an iconic moment too.
Yeah.
And Peggy's like, "Oh shit,"
Yeah.
I would love to see Peggy more in it, but I don't. I think her character's kind of done in the MCU. If you think, unless like she just pop up here and there.
I'd probably just what if.
Yeah. So I agree. A for me.
All right. Your choice. What do we want?
You know what? I'm gonna throw a little curveball here.
All right.
We're gonna talk about Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about doing that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll let you know right now. It is one of my least favorite MC movies in here.
Really, like overall, is one of your least.
Yes, I remember being somewhat excited because the Avengers really nailed it, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Ultron, which is this big, badass villain from the comics, originally created by Ant-Man, but in this one, it makes sense that Tony created him and Banner. And then you got Wanda and you got Quicksilver, and I'm just like thinking, okay, well, I already know the rights. You can't mention mutants, but you could do something to make it insinuate or think that they are part of the X-Men or the mutant world. So I watched this, and I've seen it a couple times after the theaters, and it still disappoints the hell out of me, man. Because this is a type of film that should have been like Civil War, where you should have took or just overall Civil War. I guess the plot is what drives that film, and Winter Soldier, even though Winter Soldier's not really too much of a character in that movie. But Avengers: Age of Ultron had Ultron. Yeah. And the biggest disappointment was Ultron being Tony, making quips, making jokes, James Spader as the voice. Like, Ultron's supposed to be this killer, man. Like, wants to just, like, he's supposed to be threatening. And when I saw the trailer and they got the no strings on me, I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be badass. But it wasn't. It wasn't that great because he also had it was definitely a big blockbuster, turn your brain off kind of movie, and I wanted a little bit more substance to it. You had this Black Widow and Hulk romance that like came out of nowhere, and I was like, what? What? And then I did like the kind of like this rift between Tony and Cap. You can see it starting. Hawkeye's rendezvous or his secret family and house. Like, I like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The action sequences are not that memorable. They're just like a blow 'em up, especially the end when he makes a bunch of other Ultrons, and then it's kind of the same thing as the first. It's really the same thing as the first.
It's the first movie. One, yeah.
Yeah, the introduction to Wanda Quicksilver, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson was a terrible Quicksilver. If you don't believe me, just look at Evan Peters as Quicksilver. There was a reason why everybody was so hyped up when Evan Peters was in WandaVision, and he wasn't the exact Quicksilver. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver was a miscast. Of course, Elizabeth Olsen's fine as hell.
She's awesome.
That was like a first glimpse of what her true power is, so that was great.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the relationship between her and Hawkeye. It was kind of like this father and daughter kind of relationship, a little, or not necessarily that, but more of like nut up or shut up,
Yeah.
So the movie and then honestly, it just was long. It was just absolutely. It was more of a comic book movie, I would give it.
No.
But when it comes to like moving forward, and you have all these other movies that came after it, it's the least best film out of a lot of these other movies we're going to talk about it, because it's not as memorable. It's the same shtick. And I didn't hate it, but it was probably the most under. It was probably the most overrated and the most disappointing movie that I've seen. So I'm gonna actually place it at a C level.
Let's see.
At a C. I actually enjoyed Ant-Man and Hulk more than I enjoyed that movie.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B. Um, Mainly because I still enjoy it. It at the end of the day, it has all the characters I love.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the movie is definitely like when I watch the entire MCU, it just feels like it kind of just like like a filler movie where it's just like, oh shit, we need to make another Avengers movie, but they're not really ready to get into like the deeper stuff that like Infinity War gets to. I don't know. It feels like it's kind of just thrown in there,
Yeah.
and not necessary at times. But I do enjoy a lot of it. I mean, I love my characters and stuff like that. I think. Well, I'm trying to remember. I remember first enjoying it. I was pretty young, and I liked it as a kid because I was younger. I think I maybe had to been maybe early high school. I think, and I remember enjoying it then. But then as I grew a little bit and watched me more times, I was like, okay, I get why people have an issue with this movie. Ultron is definitely kind of a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
The Quicksilver, I think, was definitely the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. I think he's just, no, I don't even think it's just the actor. The fact that you kill him off like the way he died was just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was just really dumb.
We didn't have enough time of those two
Yeah, not at
to
all.
really feel that.
Not at all. It was just kind of a pointless death where they're like, oh, we should kill off one of these superheroes, but we don't want to kill off anyone important. So let's go with someone that's just there. We can just add him on and kill him. I think he was just a useless character in that. I do like Wanda. I love, Wanda is one of my favorite like female superheroes so far in the MCU, and so her introduction is, I like seeing her for the first time. I don't think she does too much, but she's still, I like seeing her for the first time. Vision, I wasn't a huge fan of when he first appearance, but I do like him more and more as MCU goes on.
I do like the setup of like the hammer. I do like that scene where they're trying to pick up that hammer and then Vision's.
That's what I'm about to say. That's probably the most memorable thing of that movie was the hammer. That was I good. I do like some of the little bit dynamics between our Avengers. I like those scenes where they're together like that.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a cookie cutter of, okay, the first Avengers was great. Let's just try to do that again with a new villain, and like even the scene where they're all fighting together inside that one building. It's like, yeah, this is basically like the coming together scene in the original Avengers,
mm-hmm.
which is fine. It was cool to see, but it's just the same thing.
I would love for Deadpool to do a play on that.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be so fun, right? Like, what if he had like multiverse of Deadpools and they're all dressed up as Avengers?
I just saw something on my Facebook right before we started this of like Ryan Reynolds universe, and it's like Deadpool waking up to all those freaking characters of like, the first Deadpool that he did, and Green Lantern, Detective Pikachu. I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome.
That's hilarious. But yeah, man. So you're gonna put it at B.
I'm gonna go B because I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed it when it first came out. I'd see the issues of it as I grew, but I love my characters. It's kind of just a middle of the pack movie. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's kind of just has its issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Avengers: Age of Ultron. So let's move on to another one. It's your choice, man.
My choice. So let's go. I'm gonna go a little bit forward here. Let's go Doctor Strange.
Oh, good.
Doctor Strange is a good one, and Doctor Strange is the one that a lot of people. I know a couple people that they'll rank Doctor Strange up to the top of the top, like the best of the best.
Ooh.
I know some that for me, I really, really love it. Villain, god awful again.
Yeah,
god awful, and I think he's one of the worst in the MCU. I did not like him. I think he was very disappointing because he kind of seems scary at first, but really doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes Doctor Strange so good is Benedict Cumberbatch does an amazing job. He's another, like, MCU just knows how to cast, and he's a perfect cast for Doctor Strange. But really what makes the movie so good is just the visuals. The visuals are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They're so much fun to watch. The magic is cool. The little funny things they do with the magic is a lot of fun. I think Doctor Strange is kind of one of the coolest heroes to watch in the MCU. I really love Doctor Strange doing his thing. When he does his magic, it is just so much fun to watch. It's so entertaining. It's so cool. Makes me, I think out of like all these superheroes, I kind of wish I was Doctor Strange. Like out of every superhero, like Doctor Strange, I want to do his cool like all this weird stuff, and I do like his little bit of character work where he's kind of this asshole doctor at first. He drives stupidly and he destroys his hands,
Yeah.
and he's in the search to rebuild his hand. And I like the way his kind of character changes and like kind of grows. He becomes more serious. He really goes into this role as a sorcerer.
He's not as cynical.
Yeah.
He's basically Tony with a cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Same mustache too.
Yeah. But he's a little more serious than Tony. He tries to take things more seriously. He's very much, hey, by the rules, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. And that makes sense because he was a doctor, and doctors have to be like very much to the T what they do. They have to follow the rules perfectly, and that's it. It works really well with him. I'm going A with this movie because I think it's an awesome. Like the visuals are awesome, and like I said, Doctor Strange to me is one of the funnest superheroes to watch. Super disappointing villain, but Doctor Strange is a really, really fun movie with some of the best visuals in the MCU.
No, I totally agree. Like Doctor Strange is, it's a really underrated movie. It's really, really like the casting's spot on. When I heard that they were going to cast Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm like, okay, so once the original Avengers are gone, I see either Peter going to be the leader of the Avengers eventually when he grows older. But the new Tony is going to be Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
I think he's good. He's going to be the leader. So he's going to be the guy that everybody's going to go to. That a lot of it centers to. And I thought that's a perfect casting with Benedict Cumberbatch. And so watching the movie, it was another one I really, really, really enjoyed. You're right. The villain was just absolutely god awful. But what I really loved about it was the world building. Learning a lot of the spells, the crew. I think Doctor Strange and Wong are awesome together. I love it. I even love their banter in Infinity War, and it makes me more excited moving forward. I think they got great team chemistry. It kind of reminded me of the Green Hornet, and a lot of people don't know who the Green Hornet is, but
I watched the movie.
Yeah, it was a show before. Bruce Lee was the Kato. So it reminded me of that a little bit. I love the design. The costume design is what I really picked up on that movie.
Yeah.
I just love everything. The look of him too. The gloves. Like it was really comic accurate, but done in a not in a humorous way.
Yeah, I gave it that darker tone to it. It was
For
a more
sure.
darker tone. It worked well.
I like the astrophysics of it. It reminded me a little bit of an Interstellar. I like the ancient one. I like the lore. I like the possibilities after watching the movie of where we could take this. That's why I'm so excited for Doctor Strange 2. Oh, yeah. I think it does fall apart a little bit in some places when it comes to the villain. The ending's a little bit unique, but it feels like it's kind of a little bit rushed. I think the pacing was a little off. But for Doctor Strange's first debut, it was great. It was a great first debut because there's so much more you want to know. And I believe his name is Murdoch or Mordo, the
villain or
no the friend who found out that they were using dark magic, and then he's going around and taking everybody's powers away.
Yeah, he's killing the other.
Yeah, I like the setup to that. I think that's cool. I think I like the rivalry right there. Once friends, of course, now going to be rivals. Yeah. And I look forward to, because there's two people I've always wanted paired with Spider-Man, and it looks like we're going to be getting that movie forward. And this movie really that's why this movie made me so excited, is because of how Benedict Cumberbatch did in this role. I can't wait till he pairs with Tom Holland in No Way Home.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be great chemistry. And then the other one was Daredevil, and Charlie Cox is awesome. So this movie, the only thing I guess I got to say, though, is that I didn't really remember the theme to I think the soundtrack was a little weak. I do love the cape and how it has its own personality. And
yeah, it's like alive.
Yeah, and it takes, it saves Strange quite a bit. You're absolutely right. I do like the origin, how his hands get all jacked up. and he's
Yeah.
just seeking a cure for this. But then he gets more than a cure. He kind of opens his eyes of everything to it. It's
Yeah.
really cool when he enters into the kind of like it looked like the multiverse a little bit when
Yeah.
and you got the strange hands going everywhere. So Doctor Strange, I really enjoyed. I think it was really good, but I will say that I think the sequel. I'm looking for more to the sequel, and I feel like I'd be all into that sequel more than the first one. The first one was good, but I used to listen to the writer on this film used to be a podcaster on spill.com that I used to listen to, a reviewer with other guys
Yeah.
on in YouTube. So he said it was going to be nuts. I didn't think it was that nuts. I didn't think it was something I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
But like I said, I did enjoy it. So I'm going to put it at B.
Okay. I do think like the next movie like it comes out next year, right? Something like early next year.
Yeah, next
Next
year.
year.
It was
I
supposed to
think
come out
that's
this year, but it got pushed
yeah.
back.
I think that's gonna be like the biggest movie for the next phase. Like that movie's gonna set the tone for the rest of the phase almost. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm super excited for that movie.
Especially with Wanda being involved. That just
Oh
makes
god, I love
I,
Wanda. Yeah.
I like that. I like that duo,
Yeah,
Doctor and
because
Wanda.
they both had like that magical sense to them, and I think they would
And
stuff in their hands.
two different magic
Yeah,
abilities. Yeah.
very different. Yeah,
Really good. So the first one sets it up. The first one, just like Cap, was a
yeah,
good job making me really appreciate this character and making look forward to what he has to do with the MCU.
yeah.
All right.
All
So
right.
let's see. We got Doctor Strange. Where did you rank it?
I ranked it A.
A. Ooh,
One A.
yeah. I'll give you that. I mean, it is pretty damn good. I had to say B, just
Yeah,
because of some of the things, and it wasn't as crazy as I think it could have been. But
yeah.
but it was still a really solid movie.
Mm.
Okay, so let's move on from Doctor Strange, and let's go with Thor: The Dark World.
Okay. Thor: The Dark World.
It's freaking D.
Yeah, I can't even. I honest to God, I can't tell you almost anything that happens in that
Garbage,
movie.
garbage movie.
I watched it once when I was probably a freshman in high school, and I said, "Nope, I ain't watching that again."
I saw it once too, and that was it. That's all. I don't know. I don't want to go back and watch the Dark Elves. I don't want to go
No.
back. It's the formula doesn't work. It's the same
It-
schnack with Loki.
Yeah.
You do have the mother die in this film. You have
Yeah.
the romance with him and Natalie Portman. This is the. I think that after this, then she was gone.
She was
she's
gone after it. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
then
last
she's coming
movie.
back, of course.
Yeah,
This movie was terrible. I
it
thought
was
this movie.
bad.
I thought this movie was probably one of the worst MCU movies for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, it was so bad that I think that's. I mean, you go into the next movie, Thor Ragnarok. It's like
Yeah.
completely different because they realized that man, Thor has not
No,
done well. Like
they
and
try to
Thor,
keep it the comic book Thor, and it doesn't work.
yeah, they kept it almost more serious. Like Thor was, I guess, taken too seriously, and then you
Yeah,
go into the next, like Thor in later iterations and later in the Avenger movies and
it becomes
Ragnarok
a
and stuff, he
comedian.
becomes more comedic, and it really works for him. Like it works really well.
It works
Um,
because Chris Hemsworth makes it work.
does it very well because it balances very comedic with like dark undertones to it. Like he's got a sad story and everything, but
Yeah.
it's not this dark, like bleak, boring movie that Thor:
Listen,
The Dark World
Listen,
is.
I know people want to see badass Thor, and Thor does get a badass moment in Infinity War, so there's potential there.
Yeah,
But the Dark World's not the way to go about it. The
no,
elves look cool. I'll give them that. The
yeah,
Dark Elves look really badass, but they are so bland. They are like just any other kind of like hostile army.
hmm
Like the army in Invincible, the alien army has more
yeah.
to them than the Dark Elves.
That's so freaking true. Yeah,
Like I just couldn't. I did, and then the whole plot of Jane having the little liquid fluid in her,
yeah,
which
it's
is
an
like some of
Infinity
the
Stone or
stone.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very. And then I thought it was not funny. I know what's her name, Jane's friend, and she was in
the
Falcon
dark-haired girl.
or WandaVision. She was in
Yeah,
WandaVision. Shit, she was just in WandaVision. I can't remember her name already. She was
yeah,
annoying as hell in the show. She's
so
fine.
annoying.
Love her boobs, but she is annoying as hell. And I like her as an actress too. I think she does way better in WandaVision.
Yeah.
But her jokes did not land in this movie. This movie was just a train wreck. I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. It's on D.
It's on D. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most forgettable, unwatchable. Like most MCU movies are watchable, like if they're there.
Yeah.
For the Dark World, I will turn off if it's there. I will probably change it. I just don't feel the need to watch it.
Like if I was able to give it an F, I would give it an F.
That was funny.
All right, man. So D for me.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on. We'll go to the next one. Let's go. Let's go Iron Man 2.
Okay, this is good. This is an interesting one right here.
It's another D for me. Iron Man 2 is the most forgettable Iron Man movie.
Is it D for you?
Yeah, it's a D for me. I really don't remember too much. I remember Whiplash. I remember it's just what I just remember not being that. It's been a long. That's another one I haven't watched in a long time because I just didn't feel an interest in watching it again. I don't think it's as bad as Thor: The Dark World because, I mean, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. I think he can carry anything, and he carries this movie to the best of his ability.
He could try to carry everything. I mean, you haven't seen Doolittle yet.
Yeah, well, yeah. He can carry his Iron Man. He can carry Tony Stark can carry. And like he's really enjoyable, and I love Tony Stark. I think, but overall, just extremely forgettable villain, forgettable story. It's kind of just one that I just kind of go by and just let go. Yeah.
So you're gonna rank it at D?
I'm gonna rank it at D. There's just not much about it that I remember liking or can even tell you about it. Not really much scenes or anything.
Okay, so Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Right. I actually really like it. I really like Iron Man 2. It's going to be a surprise, but I think Iron Man 2 has a lot of great moments in there. I know a lot of people complain about it because it's a lot of setup. To like future movies and trying to connect everything. But I actually liked Whiplash. I thought he could have been done way better. Yeah. But for what I got, I liked him. The briefcase scene is one of the more memorable scenes when he gets his armor.
Yeah.
Shoot to Thrill in the beginning is awesome with AC/DC, and he's going to the convention, and then the whole plot of him being able to create a new kind of like element, a power element basically, and to save his life and all that stuff. I liked it. I actually really enjoyed this movie a lot. The best thing about this movie though is Hammer.
Hammer.
What's his name? Let me see. I just saw him on Galaxy Quest last night, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love this actor!" But I keep forgetting his name for some reason. Of course, Mickey Rourke was Whiplash.
Yeah,
you had the introduction of Black Widow. I think that was the best look. Cool. I think that was the best look of Black Widow throughout the whole MCU.
Yeah,
she looks fantastic. And then of course, Black Widow's getting her own movie this week. So Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. Which is basically Tony. Yeah, but he's kind of a little bit more of a comedic interpretation. But I love the scene where they're in the court and they're trying to say like this, you need to hand over this stuff to the government.
Yes.
And Robert Downey Jr. because like everybody's copying him, and he steals the screens, and he's like, "Oh, here's China." Yeah, they're not. I think it blows up or something like that. And so he's going to all these different regions, like they're trying to copy his suit, and they're failing. They're not even close to it. And then he goes to Justin Hammer, like, "Oh wait, there's Hammer," and he has a guy in a suit, and the guy twists, and it looks like he fucking kills himself.
I do remember that scene. That scene was great. I'll give you that. That scene was great.
Justin Hammer on that one, and then Justin Hammer at the convention dancing to, I believe, Jack or he was dancing to somebody. He was dancing, and he had some badass footwork movements there. And then him giving the military some his own weaponry when he's with Don Cheadle, aka Rhodey, and he's showcasing all these weaponry, and then he's like, "Oh, this is like what was it? It was like the the wife is home or something like that. It's like this little missile,
Yeah.
and they showcase that because he uses it, and I think is one of the coolest, badass, super short, very short fight scenes, and that's when Rhodey gets the iron or the War Machine suit,
Yeah.
and then him and Tony are going back to back, and they're going against these bots. And I remember the trailer showcasing that, but actually watching it in like this little, and they're like in this little park area, koi pond. That was one of
Yeah.
the coolest freaking scenes. Really cool. And then Whiplash comes down, and then War Machine uses that little missile, and it's like a dud. It doesn't do
Yeah.
anything. And
Doesn't
then
do shit.
Tony goes like hammer, and then Rhodey goes, yeah, hammer. So I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It is the pacing is bad. The pacing's really
Yeah.
bad. It's kind of all over the place. But if you like cut a little bit here and there, you make the villain a little bit more intriguing. Once again, Whiplash could
I
have
feel
been.
like I feel like they tried to make Whiplash interesting. Like they tried to give him like this little story of like
I want
shit
my
he's going
bird.
through.
My
Oh,
bird.
my bird. Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to make him interesting. I just don't think he landed. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the connection with Tony, his
Yeah.
dad, and his dad working together. You also have
Tony creates a lot of villains in the
he does.
MCU.
He
creates a
does.
lot.
So I could see why people were upset because I mean the iconic donut scene when he's on a donut eating a donut and Samuel Jackson's there and Black Widow. I mean that's unnecessary. You don't need it.
Yeah.
You could have. I mean I guess it sets up for him to discover this element. It's long.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bloated, but
Yeah.
if I take away there, I think there was a lot of good than bad. I really enjoyed a lot of these moments, and a lot of these moments show up in the montages in a lot of these MCU movies.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of fantastic moments. Jon Favreau, the problem is, I think a lot of people said Iron Man 1 was amazing, and then Iron Man 2 was kind of a step down. So they
Yeah.
just immediately really shit on it. But I think because I think I took my expectations like, okay, it wasn't as good as Iron Man 1, but it was fun and entertaining for me compared to
Okay.
like Iron Man 3, which we'll get into.
I'll give it a C because I think you do make some good points. There's like, I mean, like I said, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, he really does make a lot of very memorable moments and like that court scene and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
even though, yeah, I think with me the movie, I think the pacing is what threw me off, and like I felt like a really long movie at times, and I think that's what got me. But you are right, like there is some enjoyable things about it, and it's mostly I love Tony Stark, and that scene is cool.
It still felt like an Iron Man movie. And then we'll
Yeah.
get into the
Yeah.
third one, and I'll tell you why. But to me, it still felt like an Iron Man movie. It's just, I agree with everybody. It's too bloated because they're really trying to hash in, connecting everything going forward.
Yeah.
And then there's also the scene where his dad, right? Before we move on, I'll talk about that scene real quick. The scene with his dad, and like he's like going through all like his recordings and stuff, and then he ends with one of them, and it's his dad talking to future Tony, basically his kid.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, listen, I'm in my lifetime. I don't have enough to create this new element. I can't, it's far. It's just I just don't have the technology. I just don't. I'm in a different era. But I believe in you. He said, the best creation I ever did was I made you. That was a great scene, man. That was a heartwarming scene.
One of the best thing about Iron Man's storyline is him and his father. Like him and his father, like throughout the movies and stuff like that. Whenever they gets into that, it gets really deep, and I always love it.
So I think Iron Man 2 has a lot of good things. I will say though, it's not Captain America: First Avenger.
No,
it could have been there. It was potentially there, but because of the weak villain and because of how bloated it is, where's Iron Man 2 at in this list?
explosion with Flash.
Oh, right here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the explosion one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic freaking scene though when him and Rhodey are like killing all the bots. But I'm gonna put it at B. And what's funny is that this movie has little Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was about to say
They connected that. I thought that's ridiculous,
awesome.
But okay, I'll go with it. I don't
think they intended that, but I think it just worked out.
Oh hell no, they didn't. No, they did not.
But that was funny.
That's pretty funny though. I mean,
I hope they bring
Ben Parker back though. into Peter's world, because as much as I like Tony and Peter's relationship,
Ben Parker is different.
yeah, it's different. It's kind of reminds me of my grandpa, honestly. So,
Yeah.
all right, man, let's go. Let's move on. I got my case
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Iron Man 2 there.
All
So
right, all
you
right.
ranked it C, right?
I wouldn't see because I think you made some good points.
Thank
Because
you.
it is. I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's terrible.
It's not as bad as Thor: Dark World.
No, it's
No.
definitely not. So then I thought about that. And I was like, I won't put it there.
All right, man, your turn.
Is it my turn? Oh.
Yeah.
Let's go. You know what, man? We got to go with one that I think really changed the MCU. I think that this was the one that like took the MCU and said, when they did this movie and it was a success, they realized they can do whatever the hell they want. When you can have a talking tree and a talking raccoon and a tree, they realized we can do anything we want if we just have a good, if it's just a lot of fun. And that's Guardians of the Galaxy.
The first one.
The first one. We'll go with the very first one because I felt like, man, when this came out, it really changed the MCU. I felt like this was when MCU realized their formula was kind of perfected with Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was just the most outlandish MCU movie so far. It took you really far away from everything else that was going on. Like, took you away from all the things that was happening with the Avengers and what was happening on Earth, and took you away from Earth and gave you this alien, this extra, space adventure that with this group of, somewhat heroes, and it was a lot of fun and it was a blast. This movie, I think, really, really surprised me of how fun it was and how great the like Chris Pratt was and all of the whole cast in general, and the way they work off each other was excellent.
And this is like a roll of a dice, because this was like one of the early kind of like really swinging on these characters that nobody knows.
Yeah.
I remember just them just kind of sweating, like, is this gonna work? Are people gonna get into it? Chase, this is by far the best MCU movie. This is one of them.
You give it. Yeah.
This is S rank for sure.
This is 100% S rank. There is no doubt about it.
The comedy, the rewatchability alone. I could rewatch this not every day, but I could rewatch this a lot. Like I could rewatch this every year at least.
Yeah.
It's so good. The chemistry's so good. The bonkers and the wackiness is so. Rocket Raccoon. I was watching Endgame a little bit yesterday, and I was like, you know what? Rocket Raccoon is like one of my favorite characters out of all the MCU characters. I freaking love it. You can't even tell it's Bradley Cooper when I first watched it, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
And he nails it. I do think Gamora could be better, because in the comics she is better. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord is great. I do like their chemistry. Drax, everybody knows Batista nails Drax.
He was awesome job as Drax.
Groot is Groot.
I'm Groot.
Soundtrack was another soundtrack where I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling the soundtrack, but then I kept on watching. I'm like, man, the soundtrack's really good.
It's a banger. It's a banger.
So, and at the time, I think Rogue One, I don't think Rogue One came to be. And I was like so disappointed in Force Awakens because like there was no firefights. There's no like spaceship Star Wars fights. Yeah. And Guardians of the Galaxy has one of the best aerial fights I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. It's the towards the end, and they're hatching their plan. It's so good.
Yeah.
The only thing I guess the weakest point is Ronan, the villain.
Yeah, which is typical for your MCU movies.
MCU villains. He looked cool. He did. He had a cool design. Michael Rourke as Yondu, fantastic. The world building, fantastic. Like
the style of it, the look, the costuming.
The designs of the ship, the designs of Star-Lord ship is awesome. It feels like
a very unique space movie that I haven't seen before. And I do love the ending scene. I do love like how they defeat Ronan. I like that little dance Chris Pratt does.
Very out of nowhere. Didn't really think about it. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
But it was pretty great, and it just worked for that movie. And it's just a blast. It is. It feels like a very unique movie.
Benicio del Toro as the Collector was great. Yeah. Howard the Duck at the end, great. Yeah. God damn, man, this movie is so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. It is definitely one of we have decades and decades of movies. Like this is up there
Mhm.
of how great everything just came together on this movie. Like
Yeah.
when you think now like they're really like when you're going to space, you got to think Guardians
Hmm.
because they're the ones that really kind of like you said, changed the game a little bit.
They did. Yeah,
Um,
they were a big deal. It was a big
yeah,
deal when I watched it.
S rank, man, S rank
Yeah,
for
easy,
sure. Easy,
easy.
easy.
Uh, all right,
All right.
you get the next one.
I thought you were gonna get this one, but I'm gonna get it right now.
Let me. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say it has to do with a female superhero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Chase already
God.
knows, man. I mean,
Yeah,
since
I
we're
know.
going Guardians, we got to go to another kind of like they thought was
Space.
gonna change the game.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna put her on that D side right there.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
going with it
I'm
too.
gonna go with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Um, I put her on D. I mean, it's not a horrible movie. It's not as bad as Dark
It's
World,
not as bad as Dark World.
but I cannot stand. It's so crazy because I hate Sean Penn, but I could watch his movies.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Tom Cruise. I could watch his movies.
Hmm.
Brie Larson is a great actress. Not
Yes.
saying she's not. She won the I think Oscar for The Room for a reason. It was a good movie.
Hmm.
She was in Scott Pilgrim, good movie. She was in 21 Jump Street, good movie. I cannot stand her as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I can't stand her as a person promoting that movie. I couldn't stand her acting in that movie. She has no charisma in that movie. She's a walking plank. The movie itself is boring. The movie doesn't offer anything. They ruin, in my opinion, Samuel Jackson, Fury,
Hmm.
with the whole cat thing. I really don't like this. I haven't gone back to watch it. It is one of my least favorite MCU movies. I don't know why a lot of people like her because I think it was miscast. I think there is somebody that could Emily Blunt. You put
It
Emily
would be
Blunt in
great.
in there, even with
Hmm.
the same movie, it becomes instantly a little bit better because
Yeah.
Emily Blunt is a better actress and she's
Yeah.
just overall she's kind of like The Rock. We can't really hate on her. You really
Yeah.
or Keanu Reeves. You really can't hate on her. You really like her. But Brie Larson comes in with this snarky attitude. The fights are okay. They're not amazing at all. The suit looks good. I'll give it that.
Hmm.
It's just really bland, man. I remember watching. I think we covered so much of it after we got out of there, and we're like,
We talked for like an hour on the parking lot after we watched this movie.
"Of why this doesn't work."
Yeah, of everything wrong about it. And man, I remember going into that movie, you were very skeptical. I was like, "Oh, I'm excited for this. I think she
Yeah.
looks dope. I think it looks like fun. I'm excited to see this Superman-like character in the MCU." I thought I was very excited for it, and a lot of people were very, very excited for it. But when I walked out of that theater and people were telling me they loved it, I looked at them and I said, you're just forcing yourself to love this movie
Yeah,
because it is not like I always praise the MCU. I think it's one of the best. They're one of the best when it comes to casting. They've nailed so many great characters and so many great actors. But Brie Larson is the absolute worst casting they could have done for Captain Marvel. She just not. She has no likability to her acting. She is. You were straight on it, dude. She's bland, boring, kind of just unnecessarily rude. Um, it the movie was like, and you can feel like this is what I was thinking of going into it, and I think everyone else thought this too. Like Captain Marvel will probably carry the MCU. Like
oh,
this will be the
yeah.
next big like main Avenger and stuff like that. And I'm sure like Marvel had the exact same idea, and maybe they still have her second movie coming at some
I
point.
do hear that Kevin Feige really loves Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. He wants to push
Yeah,
this. It's
yeah.
such a big mistake. It's
It
not.
will,
It's
and
not.
that
Yeah.
it's the one thing that I think the MCU has to look out for. They cannot let unless they find a way to make her to fix her a little bit, I guess. They kind of fix Thor, like the
Yeah,
movies at least. Could
I
they
think they're
maybe try to fix
on
her?
on the money. I think they're banking on that. I mean, they're bringing in Ms. Marvel, the other
Yeah,
superhero, so they're teaming up. And it's kind of
yeah,
like Thor Ragnarok with the Hulk, right?
yeah.
Um,
I think yeah, they're gonna try to give her a likable character with her to make it more bearable to watch. I think.
it's just a movie that's like by the book. Like it felt like watching that. It was like, okay, we're going here, we're going here. It was such a formulated. Like when we know these movies are has the same formula, this was
Yeah.
really the same formula, just set in a different era. And then when I heard the scrolls were in here, I'm like, oh hell yeah, the scrolls. I didn't really care. Like it was cool to see the scrolls in there, but I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
like there's a bigger storyline later on that's going to include these guys. The jokes don't really work. It
Jokes are
was
bad.
very cringy when they put "I don't give a damn about my reputation."
Yeah.
You know, I was
And
just
then
like,
it's like the twist of the villain, her friends being the villain, and they were just
yeah.
not really. I didn't really care. I was just like, okay,
See,
cool.
Captain Marvel, man, Captain Marvel was just it's just a dud to me. It's just a dud.
It was the and it was kind of disappointing because it was in the middle of like I think Black Panther maybe came out in the same year.
Yeah, I think Black Panther was the
Like
first one, wasn't it?
I think Black Panther came out first that year, and then Captain Marvel came second, and it's like Black
Captain
Panther
Marvel
was,
came before
but
Endgame.
before Endgame, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But like at the time, like I thought Marvel couldn't miss because they were just knocking it out of the park with like I loved Black Panther, I loved Guardians, I loved like for a while they really hadn't made a movie I was disappointed in since the Dark World really, and so when Captain Marvel came, I was just like, no, they'll know what they're doing. They'll make a good movie because you're so skeptical of it. But then I watched it, I was like, God, Marvel can mess up. Marvel can definitely mess up there.
Well, I
You
couldn't
know,
believe they made a Captain Marvel movie before the Black Widow movie.
yeah, it's so true,
And then
so true.
and now thankfully Wanda got her series. I think Wanda's way more interesting character than Captain Marvel. I think Black
Yeah,
Widow is still more of an interesting character than Captain Marvel. I think the X-Men Rogue Gallery itself is a way better. Like Captain Marvel, what I'm hearing is not even that likable in the comics. They make her a
yeah.
villain at one point. I mean, I could see her being a villain. That'd be pretty dope.
She'd be a great villain.
Be a great villain.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say though, I'm gonna reach out on a limb. As much as I don't like this first outing of Captain Marvel, I feel like they could still improve on the sequel. And I always give a movie the benefit of doubt. So I'll watch it, and
yeah,
hopefully it does improve, and hopefully they're able to make Brie Larson a little bit more likable. Because I think that's
yeah.
what's the issue here is Brie Larson, not only as a person but as a character in this movies, is just not that likable.
Yeah, I think for the future movies and stuff like that, Marvel knows that I think they know when they have a misstep. I think they listen to their fans
Hmm.
because they'll try to switch it up and try to bring something different next time around. Again, Dark World to Ragnarok, they try to switch it up. I think they'll do the same with Captain Marvel because
No,
Captain Marvel they
no
try
doubt.
to go with like, oh, like this like jets flying like this grounded kind of human like she was a pilot and stuff like that and I think for the second sequel, they'll probably go with a little more comedic aspect of like and more space and stuff like that, and her doing things out in
Well,
space.
what's funny is that you say pilot, and it kind of sounds like your Green Lantern a lot.
Yeah,
Hal Jordan a little bit, right?
Hal Jordan. Yeah,
So,
what?
I'm ranking this D.
Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Marvel did nothing for me. It's not worse than Dark World, but it's not good. I don't
It's
think it's
not
a
good.
very good movie, honestly.
No, I here's what I think is like if they simply casted better for Captain Marvel, it could be a better like if Ant Man didn't have Paul Rudd, Ant Man might be a D, but it has Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
And it's enjoyable, you know.
yeah.
Iron Man too, and Iron Man in general. Like without Tony Stark, they're not as great. But because Robert Downey Jr. does such an excellent job as Tony Stark, it really carries. It's awesome, you
It
know.
it, it it depends on the best example too is Mortal Kombat, the new one. That
Yeah,
movie is trash if you don't have Kano work. Kano works in that film.
yeah. It
So
all depends on casting. Casting could have saved it, but they messed it up.
yes, they did. All
All
right, so we
right,
both agree D.
yeah, we both agreed, D.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
Let's go. I'm just gonna go straight to Guardians 2.
Okay.
Let's keep it the Guardians. I'm gonna go Guardians 2.
Okay.
Um, People kind of dog on Guardians 2 a little bit. I think because they don't. I guess they don't. People don't seem to like it as much as the first one.
Yeah.
I see Guardians 2 as just kind of a fun carry on from the first one. Like to me, I loved Guardians 2 still. I don't think it's not S tier,
No.
but it's still the Guardians of the Galaxy, the characters we love. I love the addition of Mantis, and I love Yondu in it. Yondu in it is phenomenal in the second movie.
Yeah.
Of course, with his death scene and everything, the whole Mary Poppins, like I loved it.
Mary Poppins, y'all. That was such a big thing when that hit. Yeah.
That was so funny. And it's still like the movie is still just as funny, I think, as the first movie. I people dog on the villain, what's the actor's name?
Ego, Kurt Russell.
Ego, yeah. Kurt Russell, yeah. They dog on him a little bit. I do think he's one of the more interesting villains that MCU kind of has because of the fact it's so weird that he's
freaking planet.
He's a freaking planet, and I think that's just kind of fun. So I think he at least has some fun aspects to it, and of course he's Peter's father. I like Peter. I like how Peter kind of grows in this movie, and he's like, no, this Yondu is my real father. I think it's an A movie. It's a lot of fun. I don't think it's as great as the original. I think the original just has that little something that made it special because of how it came out and surprised everyone. But I still think Guardians 2 is a lot of fun to watch.
I actually agree with you, man. I'm going to place it at A. You're right. It's just missing. I think the pacing and the editing could have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
There's a little bit too much thrown in there for humor and stuff. But some of the humor works, man. It's so funny.
Good.
Like when Ego goes like, yes, Drax, I got a penis. It works. The beginning of this film, I'm like, holy shit, the de-age of these guys, what these guys are capable of de-aging a lot of these actors is so on point. This was like one of the best de-aging I've seen with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I thought the idea was pretty cool. I thought the whole, when Ego meets the Peter was a little bit rushed. It was kind of like, oh, how convenient, but I do like the golden people, and I like how they're like, when they're in these ships or not really in these ships, they're kind of like an arcade style kind of thing going on, like Gattaca or something like that. That was pretty awesome. This movie's really good though. Like it was a little disappointing because it's not as good as the first one, but it's still really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I still remember the moment when, like, it's like a how convenient moment, but when Peter and is getting like, Ego is kind of taking over Peter and tells him like, he put cancer in his mom, and then that was like a what? Like he was pissed. That was a cool moment.
That was a really good moment.
I think the soundtrack is better in this film. The soundtrack is so good.
I get you, dude. The best scene in the movie is when Yondu and Rocket are getting out of that little when they're captured by his people.
Yeah, and then it has that one little jam going on.
Yeah, the jam in it, dude, and that scene. The action in that scene is
great,
awesome,
phenomenal.
The best part of that.
And
movie.
Then even the scene when they're all in the getting away, and fucking Groot throws up. So good. So good. Gamora and Nebula's relationship, that was great. I liked how Gamora had this big ass gun. Like she's like so skinny, but she's able to carry this big ass gun and shoot at Nebula. The Ego thing could have been a little bit better because it is just like a jam 'em fight at the end, but you get the emotional scene with Yondu, which is great.
Yeah.
The movie is, and then you got Rocket, right? Rocket just is. He's so stubborn. He doesn't want to admit, with his family, and then how he takes the batteries, and then the whole intro scene is great. So, the soundtrack, everything is so good about this movie. It's just not on par with the first one, but I'm not going to knock it down for that. Yeah. So I'm going to keep it. I will agree with you. I think it's an A movie. I think it was a blockbuster MCU movie that delivered. I had just as much fun with this as I think I had more fun with this than Captain America: First Avenger. I think there's just a lot more. It's these movies you go in there to have fun. So the third one, I mean, I'm not going to third one, I hope it's as good as the first one. But if it's not, at least I hope it's at least as good as the second one, because that's not a bad ranking at all.
No.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I will give it an A ranking along with you.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
What you got next?
there.
What you want?
Let's go. I feel like I gotta go with my boy, man. I gotta go with my boy, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. So I've rewatched Spider-Man a couple of times. The first two Spider-Mans, when I first watched it, I had an initial reaction like everybody else, right? I had my review. Tom Holland. I said many a time, Tom Holland Spider-Man is my Spider-Man. He's as close as I'm going to get to the animated series Spider-Man in the 90s. So when I saw Homecoming, first time I saw it, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good first outing. I thought there was elements of it that I kind of miss, was the Ben Parker stuff, the Spider-Man, he's just a high schooler. Okay, I can go with that for now. Hopefully eventually he grows up and gets a little bit more mature. The more I watch this film, Chase, the more I absolutely still love it. I will rank it at an A. I'll rank it at an A because I think the best villain is in this movie. I think
The best villain? Oh,
yeah. I think Michael Keaton as the Vulture is awesome. I think the most memorable line in all these MCU films and the most tense is when we find out that Peter takes Liz to the prom or to the dance, and we find out that the Vulture, Michael Keaton, is the dad. And that was like a oh shit moment.
That was awesome.
And what's awesome is he's not stupid. He figures it out in the car that Peter's Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he does it so quickly.
And the visuals are fantastic. Is it John Watts, I believe? He's amazing because he's sitting there at a red light, and then when he figures out that Peter is Spider-Man, it goes green.
I didn't even realize that.
And it's like ding, right?
I remember that scene. Yeah, that is cool.
I freaking love that scene. And then he tells, Sweetness or Cupcake, go outside. We're going to have the old boy talk. Well, just grabs a gun and says, I'll shoot you dead. I'll kill your family. You stay out of my way. This is the one only chance, Peter. That is great. The only thing disappointment was the ending fight. I think the ending fight could have been way better. Yeah. I like the crumbs of MJ and Spider. At first, I didn't like how Zendaya is Mary Jane, and they said no, she's just MJ. I'm like, no, that's Mary Jane.
It's Mary Jane, yeah.
I didn't like that, but for a different multiverse kind of feel, I'm like, you know what? I like it. I think Tom and Zendaya have great chemistry. I like Ned a lot. I like the chemistry he has with Tom. Funny. The movie really works. I think for a high school Spider-Man movie, there's a lot of Disney shows, cartoon shows that have him in high school. I think this one is spot on.
Yeah, no, I'm
for sure.
I'm with you on mostly everything. It's an A ranking for me. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero of all time. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Spider-Man. So of course, when this was going to be his first outing in the MCU, it was just such a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm a loyalist to the Sam Raimi ones because I still think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie live action wise out there. But man, Tom Holland is the best live action Spider-Man when it comes to portraying Peter Parker. And Tom Holland does an absolute excellent job as this high school because Tobey Maguire was more nerdy. Yeah. And then there was Andrew Garfield, who was kind of like a cool Spider-Man. But Tom Holland is that perfect middle, and he does such an excellent job. His quips are really funny. The way his style, his athleticism to him, it really works well.
The humor in this, the humor and the quips, you're right on it.
He's
the most balanced out of all the Spider-Mans. Yeah,
and you're right. He's the closest thing to the animated Spider-Mans. He is a perfect. There might never be, I think, an actor that can portray it as well as Tom Holland is right now, at least.
The beauty of the Spider-Man in every different ones we got with Andrew Garfield or Toby. Not
Yeah.
too much of Toby, but I think he's learned to appreciate the character. They
Yeah.
all like being Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Andrew Garfield would read comics before like he had to do a scene, and
Yeah.
Tom Holland, he wants to be Spider-Man as long as he can.
Yeah.
Like he loves the role.
Because it's like the fun. I mean, Spider-Man is one of the most lovable, not just because he's so relatable, but because his abilities are so much fun. Like he is
Yeah.
just such a fun character, swinging around New York City and doing all these flips
A
and
fun character, but can have a deep and very troubling storyline. You know.
yes, and that's where I do think like the movie, like I love like his relationship with Iron Man, that father son
Totally.
thing.
Hmm.
You can tell his inner struggles that he kind of has, and I do think like I do miss the Ben Parker. I do kind of wish
Yeah.
there was. It bothered me too that Mary Jane was, that was Zendaya, but I do think Zendaya is an awesome. I love Zendaya. She's an amazing actress. I think they have great chemistry, so it's worked out better than I thought.
She's a different Mary Jane than we've seen in the comics and other movies. Like it's just a
Yeah,
completely different Mary Jane. But
yeah,
honestly, I don't. I'm okay with it now. I'm
yeah.
okay with it.
It was like bugging to me at first that they've tried to change up the Spider-Man kind of a little bit more than we've seen, but it was
Yeah.
also very refreshing in some ways.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And you're dead on with Michael Keaton. He absolutely crushes it. I was excited for Michael Keaton to begin with, the trailers and stuff with him. I was like, God, man, they might finally nail an MCU villain. And I still argue he might be the best MCU. He is the best MCU villain. Because he does an awesome job of playing this terrifying father of
Yeah.
like
The cheeky humor in this movie is so good.
yeah, it is great. I love the Vulture. I love him as Vulture. He was just again a perfect casting. He was probably like, I think when I watched it, I remember coming out of it being like, dude, they finally nailed the villain. Like they finally killed it on a villain. Like they done a great job.
And they didn't kill him off either because they want to set him up for later. And I can't wait for him to come back. I mean, I'm
so
excited for him as Batman coming back. That's awesome. That's
gonna be
very
amazing.
awesome. But he killed it at the Vulture for sure.
I like the ending when he has an opportunity to tell somebody who Spider-Man is, and he chooses not to. He could have chosen Scorpion.
Like that code, like that.
He's got a code, and I like that.
And Spider-Man did save his daughter at the little Capitol.
Yeah.
There's 3 scenes I absolutely loved about in this film. One of them was the intro where we see the Civil War battle in Peter's little homemade camera in his eyes, and then how happy he's taking him to the airport or to the hotel. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing? I can hear you. Like these are thin walls." I freaking love that, and of course you nailed it. Him and Iron Man. It was great to have that in this movie because it makes the impact more of Tony's death more impactful for Peter, and in the sequel. The second one I love is which one? Well, the Ned one when he had the Millennium Falcon and he drops it when he sees Peter was pretty funny.
I will say it is weird to be attracted to Aunt May.
No, it makes sense though because Aunt May is portrayed so old and she gets younger and younger as these Spider-Man movies go.
Yeah.
But Melissa Tomei is the perfect age to be Aunt May. That's why I'm kind of wondering who is Ben, who's Ben Parker.
Yeah.
What was the other one? The other one, there's a lot of great moments in here. There's a lot of good humor. And the more I watch it, the more and then the third one, because we got I wish we could get Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse in this rank. I would put that way past S rank.
It'd be definitely.
So the Prowler in Spider-Man, if you ever seen Spider-Man.
With Donald Glover.
It's Donald Glover because a lot of people thought they wanted him as Miles Morales. He's old now, so he can't. Yeah. But I do love that scene. And his new suit has interrogation mode. And then he spiderwebs his hand onto the truck because he has like groceries in there and ice cream.
Yeah.
And then earlier that time, they were looking for weapons and stuff. So Donald Glover knows where to go.
Yeah.
And he's just botching this whole interrogation thing. He's like, "Where's the stuff? Like, why do you sound like that?"
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? This is my voice,
Yeah.
And then when he tells him the information, he's like, "Okay, well, I gotta go." He's like, "No, wait. get me out of this. Like I have ice cream in the trunk. He's like, oh no, you'll go out like in 1 hour. You deserve this.
Yeah.
You're a criminal. You're a
You're a
criminal.
criminal.
You deserve
You
this.
deserve that.
So that's what I'm saying. Tom Holland's so good and so
Yeah.
natural and so likable because he loves this role. You see it, and I'm so excited to see what happens in future Spider-Man installments. We'll get to No Way Home. There's a little issue I have there, but we'll get to
Okay.
there. So I will go. Spider-Man Homecoming is an A movie for me.
Yeah. Better day. All right. Did I? No, I chose that movie, right? Or did you?
Which one? No Way Home. I did. It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
Or Homecoming. I mean.
Homecoming. Let's go with the first Iron Man movie.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Let's go back. Let's go to the first Iron Man movie.
Curious to see where you post that at.
I mean, it's a reason that people forget about the Incredible Hulk and consider Iron Man the real start to the MCU. Because I love the original Iron Man movie.
Well, Iron Man is.
Yeah.
Iron Man came before. It came first.
Did it really?
Hulk. Yeah.
I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, still, I was mistaken.
They forget Incredible Hulk, but Iron Man was the first MCU.
I was feeling Incredible Hulk went first, but I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wrong. But anyway, I really love the first one. I loved his introduction. I loved a lot of the scenes. I love the scene where he's building the suit and he's trying to learn it and he's trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I love like him being taken by the terrorists. Like he was selling weapons and those weapons were going to terrorists, and for him to see that and for him to have to go through that and understand what his kind of weapons have done, and for him to change in that way, I thought was really interesting. I gave it an A. I really enjoyed the movie. I really had a lot of fun with it. Oh, you
put it an A, huh?
Yeah, I go A. I'm gonna give it a lot of love because I do think it does deserve. Like it was something that made people like fall in love with the idea of the MCU starting, and I love, like I said, I liked his little character growth. I liked seeing him. I like maybe I'm a sucker for a good origin story, but I think it's a good origin story.
Yeah.
I love seeing him build his first suit. I love seeing him learn and kind of grow and figuring out how to fly his suit and the aspects of that. I can't say I remember the ending fight too much. I remember the villain.
It's like your typical, he's kind of like you kind of villain.
You.
Everything he's learned. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what Tony Stark would have been like if he didn't learn, I guess. It's just and he just fights big giant Iron Man,
Yeah, pretty much.
But I just overall I really enjoyed that movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm gonna go A because I think it deserves. I'm gonna. I keep going back because I kind of go back and forth between A and B, but I'm gonna go A just because I think it kicks off the MCU very well.
I don't think it's an A.
Really?
I think it's an S, dude.
You're on S, huh?
I think this is a granddaddy of bow to Iron Man.
Yeah.
You couldn't hit a better home run if you tried to start off this universe. This is a movie that not only establishes the main guy, but establishes all these other characters, establishes the lore, establishes so much going forward without having to shove it in like Iron Man 2. Yeah. Iron Man is so fluid. The pacing's great. The acting is phenomenal. Robert Downey Jr., this really changed his life. But not a lot of people talk about this is the first introduction to Tony and Pepper Potts. They have fantastic chemistry throughout all these movies. They're really good together. Yeah. Really good together. They banter so well. And then you have Jeff Bridges coming in, and he's fantastic. I thought the biggest mistake was getting rid of Terrence Howard. I think Terrence Howard was a better war machine. Yes, because he was kind of like in that age realm with Robert. Robert's older, but I felt that chemistry. It felt like better banter with those two. They had something, and I think it was wasted potential.
I don't know. I like Donald Cheadle. I think he does.
I think he's good.
He does a fine job. Yeah,
but he ain't good as Terrence Howard.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, you have the suits. Yeah, the great Stan Winston working on this movie. Yeah. You have a lot of practical effects mixed. This was Tony or Robert was actually in prosthetic suits of Iron Man, and then as the movies went along, it was more CGI.
Yeah.
You had Jarvis still communicating with Tony. You had you had like Cap had the German doctor, while Tony had, I think he was German, the German like scientist with him in the
Oh,
cave.
yeah.
The iconic him getting out of that situation.
Hmm.
The terrorist group, like there is so much to love. The quips, the humor. I could rewatch this movie so many times and say, "Damn, this flows so good."
Yeah.
The only it kind of goes downhill because of the ending, because it's something like, oh, okay, this is a giant fucking
Yeah.
Iron Man.
I do like Jeff Bridges though. Jeff Bridges is great.
No, he was great. He was fantastic in the movie.
Yeah, his acting's
And
awesome.
of course, the most memorable line in movie history: "I am Iron Man."
I'm Iron Man. Yep.
Yeah. So Iron Man is an S rank for me. It is beyond, like, I couldn't imagine how, like, they really, you talk about Guardians of the Galaxy rolling the dice on something. Like, if this movie fails, they might have had enough money to do another one, but this had to succeed.
Yeah.
And why it succeeded, not because, yes, because it's like a superhero movie you probably haven't really seen too much before.
Yeah.
It's Iron Man. It's not like Spider-Man. It's Iron Man. But this succeeds because the movie was actually so freaking good, and people
Movie's
went
great.
and rewatched this movie. So
Yeah.
Iron Man for me, S rank. I think this movie does deserve all the acclaim and is the first MCU movie to really kick things off. But it not only MCU movie, it's just an overall damn good movie.
Yeah, I think you got to think about this. What really kicked off the MCU movie and Iron Man in general as a person, and what kind of character we were getting moving forward, is when he's standing there in front of the people he's trying to sell these weapons to. He puts his arms out, and just like all his missiles behind him explode. As everything, as you remember that, it's like one of the first scenes in the movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was badass too.
That scene is badass. I always love that scene. It's
That
always kind of
scene,
what.
and I remember in the theater, and we knew there was an after credit, and then it was Nick Fury was introduced and said,
Yeah.
"You heard of? We're gonna do this Avenger initiative," and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Because I didn't know what any of that was, and then this
Yeah.
was like the first introduction to it. I was like, "Okay, I think I know Nick Fury." I know Iron Man. I don't necessarily know too much about the Avengers because I was more DC. I knew Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, so I didn't know any of these guys. So seeing that, man, that was pretty. That's a special moment right there.
Yeah, and I was young when that came out, and like I mean, I had no clue what I was getting into. It's crazy to look back and think I watched that movie as a kid, thought, oh, this is really cool, and then like I had no clue how much of this would affect my life going forward. Like how much, how many movies.
This is the
how
movie
much,
that made you spend so much money in the theater, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on. So I got S rank on that. Chase has
I went A.
A. My pick, and right there, I'm gonna drop an A next to Spider-Man is the first Avengers movie.
You gonna go A for the first Avengers movie?
Yes, I think Iron Man's a superior movie than Avengers, and I'll tell you why. I still feel the same after this came out in 2012.
Yeah.
I still feel the same. I thought they first of all, I didn't think it was gonna work, and it freaking did. So glad it did. But I will let you know right now, the best thing out of this movie, like that really really kicks it off, right?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. Like the setup, of course, the Loki and Black Widow interaction, the Avengers getting together and learning stuff. First of all, Captain America's suit is god awful in this movie. So bad.
It is bad in that movie.
It's so bad.
So like look like hand sewn by like somebody. Just
It looked like
at their
you get
house.
something at Party City. I'm just
Yeah.
like a real upgraded Party City.
Yeah.
The best thing about this movie, other than the Thor taking Loki, and then you get the Thor versus Iron Man fight, which is awesome,
Yeah.
is the last 45 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
The action when when Loki comes with the Tesseract and the army, and then when Loki and Tony have this conversation, that's when it kicks off. That's when it goes. That's when all that payoff starts paying off.
Yeah.
I think the movie is really damn good, But if you had to ask me, I don't think it's as good as Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think it's good as the first Iron Man. I damn sure don't think it's better than The Dark Knight, which was like, I think The Dark Knight Rises came when this came out. I think it's better than Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It's a definitely a definition of a comic book movie. It nails all the beats, but there's one part that really drags so much, and that's the part when like Hawkeye invades the helicopter or the helicarrier, and like Iron
Uh,
Man has to fix the engine. Cap is shooting these guys, and it looks kind of cheesy. They're all talking to each other. They don't have ear mics. The Thor and Hulk fight, cool, but you could
yeah.
totally tell it's super CGI and it just looks a little wonky. So I can't go S rank. I can go A for the Avengers,
Yeah.
because of the last 45 minutes is awesome. But yeah, I still feel the
I
same after all these years, man.
I'm gonna go with you on A. I really wanted to give it an S, but
Yeah,
the thing to me is I like I love I when I first watched this, man, it was a big moment in my life. Like as a kid, I watched it. I remember watching it. I watched it twice. I watched it once with my sisters because my sister worked at Regal and they
mm-hmm.
got me in for free. I think they got to see it early. I think when I went to their early employee showing, and I was mesmerized by it. And I
Mm-hmm.
begged my nana to go let me go see it again. I went and saw it again, and it was the first time that I really got introduced to all these heroes in a way, like this team of heroes. And I don't know. I mean, I loved it. I was a kid, so it just was the coolest thing to me to see all these heroes from these different movies come together. And I
Yeah,
think that's how a lot of people feel. Like it was a big moment in cinematic history to see a universe come together like that so well. And it did. It worked really well. Like the character work between the character work between Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and Bruce Banner and Thor. It worked really really
oh,
well.
the chemistry's
Yeah.
off the hook. To
It's
set it up, man.
amazing, and that's
Yeah,
why I think also like the recasting of Bruce Banner was a good idea because I think he
yeah.
worked really well with them. Maybe Edward Norton would have done too, but I liked what they did.
But
And
come on, that line does not make any sense.
which one?
Where Cap goes, or like when he's like, "Oh, you got it." When he's gonna transform again, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
here's my secret Cap. I'm
yeah.
always
I'm
angry."
always angry. I know
Like,
it
what
was
the fuck
weird.
does that mean? What are you talking about?
Hey,
What
it
are
was
you
pretty.
talking
It
about?
was pretty badass though.
I was like,
It didn't make
what?
it. Didn't make it.
In that theater, I was like, what?
Didn't you just go berserk like 20 minutes ago? I don't know, but it may I don't know. Maybe it was a cool scene though. You gotta admit,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always angry in the punches.
Oh yeah, and then you got the famous
Yeah,
twirling shot with all of them.
yeah. You're right though. Like the last like 40 minutes, whatever the battle in New York, like that is what makes the movie like really good when they come together and you get the scene of like Hulk smashing the shit out of Loki and you get the scene of them all six together. Like I loved a lot of the fight choreography in that. I
Mm-hmm.
loved each one of them kind of getting their moments and showing off what they do and what they specialize in. I want to say I remember Cap fighting alongside like I want to say Black Widow at one
Black
point was awesome,
Widow.
and then like him flipping off the shield and like him
Uh-huh.
working. Yeah, I thought that was all really cool. I
The
really love
scene
that
with the
instinct.
cop too, where he's like, "Oh, when he's telling him, like, you got to get these guys up here in the building here," and he's like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna listen to you for?" And then he takes
yeah,
out some of the was it Chamorro or whatever, and then the
yeah,
cop goes, "Okay, we're gonna get these guys up in the building right here." And then
yeah.
the one shot I remember is when Iron Man fucking does his blast to the shield and it bounces off. That's pretty
Yes,
badass.
yeah. I like I said, it's a perfect. It was a great bringing everyone together. I liked. It kind of felt like it was kind of like a generic structure of like them having to learn to get together and like them like that whole fight scene inside the helicraft
Mm-hmm.
is kind of like you can tell they don't know each other, they don't know how to really work together yet, and then it's kind of them figuring out and
You got
they
the
figure
the
it out
death
in
of
New York.
Coulson.
Death
Yeah.
of Coulson, yeah. So it's like it's kind of a generic run at it, but overall like you still gotta love Loki. Loki's a fun villain.
Great villain.
um
Great villain.
Great villain. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I was most excited for his show to come because I
Yeah.
think he's Loki and Tom Hiddleston does a great
He's an
job.
interesting guy. He's an
Yeah,
interesting character.
he's not some bombastic, crazy villain like that has all these powers. He's just a lot of fun to watch, and
He is. He is.
and And so I mean, I love the Avengers. It's not an S tier because you're right. It's not as good as other things. It's not as really as well put together as like Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's overall it was a very big moment in cinematic history and just the history of the MCU. It's the pillar. It's just what created the MCU and made it what it was and made everyone know this works.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we both agree A.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on over. We got a couple more movies here.
Mm-hmm.
Your pick.
It's my pick this time. Let's finish off the Iron Man series. Let's go Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Okay, I'm intrigued to see what you say about this movie.
I'm gonna go B.
B. Let's hear it. I gotta hear it.
It gets hate. It gets hate because they definitely like. I don't know. They did a weird thing with Manda. What's his name?
The Mandarin.
Mandarin. People really hated what they did with the Mandarin, which was terrible. Like that whole thing where it's like, oh, he's just an actor, and no, this other guy's the real Mandarin. So stupid.
And they're trying to fix that with Shang-Chi right now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. They're trying to bring back. Yeah, it's a 6.
But it's an Iron Man villain, so I'm just like, yeah.
I don't. They really effed up there, really badly. I just had a lot of fun watching the movie though. Again, when I don't. A lot of this is based on how I felt at the time, you know. Mm-hmm. But like man, yeah, they should. But sorry. I think some of the scenes in it are really awesome. I actually really do enjoy the final fight scene of him fighting with all his Iron Man suits versus.
Cool. I'll give it.
I think that was one of the coolest fighting scenes in the Iron Man trilogy. I love Pepper Potts getting her powers because I think Pepper Potts is actually a great character. So I like her involvement in it and her having like that weird power, you know, and all that. And I liked a lot in the beginning too. I liked how Tony Stark was he got lost. He ended up being like at this kid's house and stuff like that. I like the journey he takes as a character. I liked him like being vulnerable and like he gives his address out thinking he's the hottest shit in the world, but then gets immediately freaking bombed out of his house. Like it just
he's the one that did it. That's his own damn fault. Yeah,
I know exactly, and I like that he learns from it. Like, hey, you can't just be, you know, there's people that will fuck with you if you don't play smarter at this. I don't know. I liked a lot. It's just it's what they do with the Mandarin that really pisses me off, and is the only reason I don't think people hate on this movie so much. It's still got better pacing than the second one. I didn't think it was as, you know.
I guess, yeah.
I feel like you're on a different route. I feel like you're going to put it down.
Yeah. I think I like this less than Captain Marvel.
Oh, man. Really?
So Shane Black is a crazy cat, man. The director of this film. Yeah. He's done some good stuff. He's done some, like, questionable stuff. Good stuff, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The other guys. Did the Lethal Weapon series. He's known to love Christmas, and he always puts fucking Christmas in his movies. It's so weird. This movie dropped in the summer, and there was Christmas themed shit all over. So, and then famously he was Hawkins in the original Predator, and he butchered the man butchered the Predator series even more in his latest attempt with Predator.
I know you gotta hate that.
So Iron Man 3 though, this is where I knew the wagons were off. I was like. And it's funny because after this, I watched the other guys. I'm like, dude, this is fantastic, but what the fuck, Shane? I'm going to keep it nice and sweet and simple. Okay, so Iron Man 3 was the most... I absolutely hated this movie. It never felt like an Iron Man movie to me. It was so... The Christmas element was so dumb. Rebecca Hall is in this movie. She does nothing but get betrayed in the middle of it. Guy Pearce... He's the Mandarin technically.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's a waste of his talents. Yeah. The Mandarin revealed that's not necessarily why I hate the film. It is one of the aspects, but it's not the whole thing. The whole thing is it just felt like a Shane Black movie when it shouldn't be feeling like a Shane Black movie where Iron Man gets stranded. He meets a kid. There's these fights going on, and the fights are like not that great, and they're not that entertaining. And like the whole plot of the movie about these like super soldiers, sort of, you think it's
Mm,
gonna go bigger and but it's like messy. It's all over the place. It goes from
yeah,
Guy Pearce to this fake Mandarin, and then it goes to the Iron Patriot, which is just a cock tease. Then you get all these other Iron Man suits at the end, which was pretty dope.
yeah,
I thought this movie was a jumbled mess. I did not care. Like, I can't, there's a reason why I can't go back and rewatch it. Is because it's a mess. The tones of this film are all over the damn place. The pace of it is fine. The
yeah,
tone of it is not. You go from Iron Man from the beginning, talking shit, to Stranded, to Uncovering the Truth, to a buddy cop thing with him and Rhodey. It's
yeah.
just so much stuff jam packed, and not once does it feel like a superhero movie to me. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it absolutely works. I just didn't think it worked here. I'm not a fan of this movie. I never want to watch this movie again. It's just a movie that I thought they dropped the ball on, but it made a ton of money. I
Crap.
still don't understand that. So Iron Man 3
Because
is a
Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.
yeah, that's probably why. It's a
Yeah.
D rank. It's a D rank. There's a lot of things in here, and then they have him. What was it? Is it at the end? It seemed like he was leaving or whatever. I don't know. I
Oh
can't
yeah, that
remember.
was where the ending was like, oh, he's done being Iron Man,
And
but
they did
he's
nothing with that.
and then like, oh, but yeah, Avengers: Age of Ultron comes out next, and you're like, oh yeah, he's still chess thing. I don't know, he's still
This
there. I don't
movie
know.
made a bunch of money because the Avengers that was the last movie, and then they
Yeah, it
want to know
was.
what was going to be the fallout.
Yeah,
Don't like this movie. S or D rank. I mean, I think I like Captain Marvel more than I like Iron Man 3. Honestly,
I hurt. I hurt. At least Iron Man 3 has Tony Stark. like let's
I think Dark World is like the worst though.
Dark World is the worst. There's no doubt. I think that one definitely is lowest.
All
Um,
right, are we all
you pick
good? Ready to
next.
roll?
Yeah, yeah. You pick next.
Okay, we're gonna go Spider-Man. Far From Home.
Okay. Okay.
You know what? I think Spider-Man Far From Home has really good elements to it. It's really I think Jake Gyllenhaal is a good casting for Mysterio.
Hmm.
I think the Peter and MJ relationship really carries on, and I really like it. Um, I'm put it at C though.
Really? That
I
low?
I didn't love it as much as I loved Homecoming, of course. And you know what? It's a movie that it's kind of like Godzilla versus King Kong, where there's a lot of great elements to it and a lot of cool stuff. But the whole movie, I'm not getting a whole movie. I'm getting like half a movie.
Yeah.
There's no suspense really because you know Peter's gonna be okay. There's
Yeah.
no the thing about Spider-Man and Peter Parker is there's always like something you're always worried for the guy, and there's always something there that brings him down and you want him to get back up.
Yeah.
I guess it's the death of Tony, and I didn't really like it because they still haven't acknowledged Ben, and I think Ben is a far better like that's his saying, right? I know I get they don't want to beat the dead horse, but you
Yeah.
gotta introduce Ben. You gotta put the saying, great power comes great
The great
responsibility.
responsibility. Yeah.
Because he's a kid. He should have that in his brain. And I think cool. Yes, I like the Tony and Peter relationship, but I think it's too much. I think they're just hammering it way too much at this point.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to carry on to that because he's got the glasses, he's got the tech. A lot of good things in here, but honestly, it was a big kind of disappointment, especially the fake out of all the different villains in here. It's just Mysterio. I did think
Yeah.
the fight between him and Mysterio, and when he gets hit by the bus or he gets hit by the train, that
Yeah.
fight was dope. That was great.
Badass. That was awesome.
That was great. But other than that, I thought the other action sequences were okay. And this is the same director that did Homecoming, and I just thought he dropped the ball more. I just
Yeah.
feel like that I'm tired of high school Peter. Can we get a little bit more mature Peter? And can we just kind of go away from the Tony stuff and have him be his own Spider-Man at this point? So we'll
Yeah.
see. I think they will. I think they have a plan. But this film, I enjoyed it. but I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as like Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hulk, or even Iron Man. I might have enjoyed it a little bit more than Iron Man 2, but I think Iron Man 2 has better cool sequences in there than this film.
I'm gonna go B.
Okay.
I'm gonna go B. Of course, it's not as good as Homecoming. I like a lot of the action. I like a lot of how he swings around in this one. I feel like they do a really great job, a little bit better job in the action department on this movie than Homecoming.
Mm,
Um, I love Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I was really excited for Mysterio. Mysterio is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains that is yet to be, put into the movie. So when this movie came out, I was super hyped for him. I thought he did. I think he almost nailed it. I do think like the whole I mean, I guess because I'm a fan, of course, we knew he was the bad guy of the
yeah.
movie. Like, why try to act like he's anything but in the beginning?
Yeah.
I do think it was but it was kind of fun to see, like, or interesting to see him trust him, really stupidly trust him, you know,
I thought that I was like, Peter, come on, you're smarter than that. But I do love
with
the
the
fact that
glasses.
I love
Yeah.
the fact that he just brings on all like Tony's ex like workers and
Yeah.
they hatch up this big plan and he explains it. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
It was. Of course, Tony creates a lot of villains, even in the
Yeah.
movies he's not in.
Even
And
Spider-Man villains for some reason.
yeah, but it's fun. I mean, I loved it. I love the robot aspect of it, like how they had the robots be what makes Mysterio Mysterio.
That was cool. Hmm.
The
The
effects of
holograms.
it, yeah, the holograms. It was unique and it was really fun. I love again that fight you were saying the fight scene with the train stuff like that was really cool. I loved him learning his Spidey sense at the end. That last scene, like it was something where he had to learn. I mean, he doesn't. They call it, it's like tingles or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah. Spidey tingles.
Spidey
That's
tingles.
pretty funny.
But I do like him like learning that and like that becoming a learning thing for him instead of something that just came naturally. He figured it out and learned what his Spidey sense and
Hmm.
um
And then a twist at the end was pretty good too.
twist at the end was really cool. James Jones Jameson
J.K.
coming out.
Simmons, beautiful.
Yeah.
Come bringing him back in.
So
Awesome.
awesome. I think you're right on some points of the fact that it just I don't know. I do find it annoying sometimes how childish he is.
Yeah, he
In
was really
this
childish
movie,
in this movie.
this movie like really showed that childness, but it was kind of his purpose. Like it was like he needs to learn how to grow, and that's what it was doing towards the end. It just felt kind of ridiculous. He just feels ridiculous at times. So maybe I got tired of his childish stick a little bit in this one.
Hmm.
Um, it was fun. Love Zendaya. Still love their chemistry in it. I think some of the comedic parts of it kind of fall flat, especially in the beginning
With the teachers.
with the teachers. Yes, that's what I was going to say. The
Yeah.
teachers,
Bad.
it really falls flat. So it's just not Homecoming. But it's still fun. I still love my Spider-Man. I was finally happy to get a Mysterio in a Spider-Man movie.
I will say this movie does really a great job. This is where it made me kind of like go like, okay, yeah, this MJ version is really good
Mhm.
for Peter. Um,
Yeah,
they just have really good chemistry, and it fits. It fits both
yeah,
their characters that they would be in a relationship. So, for sure, if anything, I think the MJ and Peter stuff really works in the movie.
yeah.
All right, man. Where are we going on to next?
All right, let's man, we got a lot of good ones left. Let's go back to an old one, the oldest one here, and that's Thor, another starter one. I think we've been leaving it sitting for a while. I'm gonna go C. Of course, it's not like bad like the Thor Dark World. I liked Chris Hemsworth in it. I like him on the Earth and him like being like, what the hell is this weird planet? And him not understanding that he's not his
Yeah.
god power anymore, and him breaking the cup
Another.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
another.
famous another. Yeah.
Yeah, he was all. It was funny. I guess some more memorable moments than Thor: The Dark World, but it's still a forgettable movie in a
Hmm.
lot of ways. It was kind of definitely like when it comes to the origin stories. Like I think I prefer the Incredible Hulk over Thor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
This is a very bland movie.
it's a very blind movie. So I put it so yeah, I don't think it's as bad as Thor Dark World. I don't think it's as bad as Captain Marvel. I think it has at least some likable moments. It has at least Thor. Um
And Loki.
and Loki, yeah, and Loki, and he's kind of like he's not really in that movie. He's kind of like docile, and then you see that he's a broken
Yeah.
person. It was kind of his little growth gem.
So in actuality, it's both their like introduction. Like they're both,
mhm.
yeah, they're both character journey, I guess. At the same
Yeah,
time. At the same
yeah,
time. Hmm.
yeah,
Thor is very bland. The only thing I just remember the Seven Up advertisement or 7-Up 7-Eleven advertisement for
yeah,
Alice. I do like the part. I do love Anthony Hopkins as Odin. So
yeah,
good. He's like, "You're a cruel boy." Then he just banishes him.
yeah.
It's a bland movie, man. I agree with you. It's at sea. It's not garbage by any
No,
means. It has some good visuals in there. It has the introduction of characters that we grow to love later on.
yeah.
Even like are at
Hawkeye.
that spot, Loki and Hawkeye gets
Mhm.
introduced. That's a nice little scene too.
Yeah,
It has some good comedy on there. It's
mhm.
just not anything special. If I had to
Yeah,
downgrade it, but it's perfect for right there at sea. So that's kind of like
yeah,
all I have to say about this movie, honestly.
yeah. There's not much time. Thor definitely had the roughest start when it came to the rest of these heroes.
Yeah. Okay, so we both agree C.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go Black Panther.
All right. This one I have man, I have a tough time with this one.
Hmm.
And I'm
Um,
thinking about it. I'm gonna go. I will. You know what? I say this. I talked Michael Keaton up a lot, but Killmonger is the best villain in the MCU.
whoo, really?
I loved Michael B. Jordan's portrayal as Killmonger.
He's good. He's really
I
good.
I really really liked it, and I'm gonna say that now. I'm going to say this is an A though. I'm gonna say this is an A. I love it. I love the visuals. I love the look. I love Chadwick Baldwin. I just
Bozeman,
don't. Bozeman,
Chadwick
sorry.
Boseman. Yeah.
Yeah, and man, I mean, it's such a cool movie. The soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal. The costume design is great. The characters are amazing. I don't know. I want to put it at S in some ways, but I'm looking at other movies, and I know there's gonna be a couple more S's for me. And I think the other ones are the ones that I'm gonna put up there are better. And I
I
know
did.
that sounds weird, but I think I'm gonna stick with A with this one.
So Appy says, so I don't really have anything on my T-shirt. Like I got
Yeah.
nothing. But do you have anything on your T-shirt?
Mine's is I can't see your chat, but mine says I got this a long time ago. It says if The Walking Dead or the Steelers are on TV, you are not allowed to talk to me. Yeah,
Okay,
I got this when I was in middle school.
so we got a request. Can you show the full design of the T-shirt you are wearing now, with standing full screen, and move earphone and microphone in front of you?
And move my microphone in front
I
of me.
think I think it's me. I have nothing. It's just black. It's a Reebok. But you're
Uh,
fine. Just stand up and let's take a look at that shirt.
this one. This is an old shirt. This is a really old shirt, man.
I usually have badass shirts on, but right
Yeah.
now I'm comfortable today.
This
So
is back
sorry,
when I was
guys.
like a die-hard Walking Dead fan. I'm not much anymore, but
Well, the comics are still amazing.
the comics are phenomenal.
Oh,
But
Let's,
yeah.
but yeah, we fulfilled your request. Like I said, it's just honestly just a black kind of like Under Armour kind of shirt.
Mine I got on Facebook. It's one of those things that I came out on Facebook. It's like, oh, here's two things you like on a T-shirt. I'm
Yeah,
like, ooh. And as a kid, I was like, Mom, I want this. And it's
I'll
like, all right.
showcase more shirts that I have later on.
Yeah.
So okay, so Black Panther. If you would have talked to me when I first watched this movie, I would have gave it an A, but it's a B now.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, I was really hyped for it, and I think I was blinded by a lot of the because it's a really good movie. Actually, it's a really good. I really love it. But then you
Yeah.
think about it, you're like, it is kind of like The Lion King. The CGI, like when I came out of there, I was like, the CGI is really bad, like really bad. Like there is no reason why that CGI battle at the end should be that bad.
Yeah.
It is horrible. Killmonger's great, but then like you're thinking like, I get why he's so angry, but he's gonna about to wipe out innocent people.
Hmm.
So I mean, he's a great villain. He's a fantastic villain.
Yeah. I think he's nice.
But he takes away from Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, when he was introduced in the Civil War, I was like, yeah, this dude's a badass. And then he got his own movie, and I'm like, yeah, he was really cool. And then I kind of thought about it. I'm like, well, he really got his shine taken away a little bit. It's a lot of gadgets. I like the spy espionage overall
Yeah,
of it. I like the casting of it. Um, I I love the chase sequence when they go after Claw. I like the
yeah,
betrayal of Claw. There's so much to like about this movie, but then there's some things where you sit back and you're like, you know,
yeah,
the Michonne, Danny something, she is
yeah.
awesome. I love
Amazing.
her. She was great in
Yeah,
the movie. I loved
she's
how like
amazing.
she gets the wig and whips the guy. So
Yeah,
funny. The fights, the tribal kind of fights of who's going to be the black. So the thing that disappoints me though, going later on, is the fact that they can just inhale this whatever dust from this flower, your Black
yeah,
Panther, or you
yeah,
have abilities, and then they could take it away, bring it back. Killmonger kind of gets it, and then it's
yeah,
another thing like Black Panther versus Black Panther. So there's elements of it after later on. I'm just like, yeah, that could have been better. I really do think the saddest thing is that Black Panther should be been way more badass and better in the film.
okay,
But if you take that kind of away, and he does come back and fight Killmonger, I think it would I wouldn't have that feeling if the CGI in the battle was so much better because it
yeah,
really looked like Blade 2. And Blade 2 was like in the early 2000s. This movie came out like in 2000 what, 16 or something like that.
yeah,
So I'm just like that CGI was just that bad. But I will rank it where I rank it at. I rank it at I put it at a B
yeah.
because I did rewatch this multiple times and I did still find enjoyment on it.
That I am surprised because I feel like when that came out, you liked it a lot, and you were one of those
Yeah,
people that were into it. And a
I
lot of people
loved
were.
it.
A lot of people did like kind of overhype it, like a little bit too much because the soundtrack and stuff was amazing and it's
Soundtrack's amazing.
phenomenal.
Amazing.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
The the design work and the set
It's
design,
awesome.
great. You know,
I love the mix too of this futuristic world with this ancient tribal, you know, African, you know, look to it, and I love the mix of it. I do love it. I do think like you're kind of right with the spy like technology kind of thing, which is kind of I know it kind of brings down Black Panther a little bit,
overuses
uh,
it.
overuses it, yeah, and but I love the tribal like aspect to it. I love the different tribes that you know want to be the top.
Umbach, or was it
Umbak,
or that dude was badass,
Umbambe.
man.
He's like comes in the Umbambe, or no, that's a different name.
He was a beast. The
Yeah,
I think his name is Umbach. I can't remember.
Umbak. Yeah,
Oh, he
he's a
was great
beast.
though.
I love the fight, the fight between Killmonger and Black Panther on at the spot for control
Yeah,
when he fights
Michael
him
B.
for
Jordan
control.
does a fantastic job.
Phenomenal job. I think Michael B. Jordan absolutely crushes Killmonger, and I don't, you know, it doesn't bother me at all that he kind of steals the show away a little bit from Black Panther. I like it sometimes when my villain is that good. Um, and I like
But
his backstory. I like his he
but
wants to create a war because of all the bullshit that has been caused to his people over the
but
years.
the
You know,
thing is, Killmonger doesn't show up till like the second half.
yeah, it is till the second half that he comes in. Yeah, it still builds him up pretty well.
I think as a reviewer and then as a movie critic, like you have to see there's a lot of arguments, there's a lot of debates, and people will just come away with still the same mindset they did the first time around.
Yeah,
And I want to be, and then there's a few times though where I turn my opinion around because there's good points, and
yeah,
you look at something that you didn't see it before, but you're like, okay, yeah, I see it. That
yeah,
was Black Panther for me. It was amazing when I saw it.
yeah,
I saw it a couple times, and then I kept watching it, and I kept on thinking, and I kept on hearing the critique on it, and I'm like, you know what? My biggest critique was the CGI, but a lot of the
yeah,
storyline and a lot of the things, especially coming off of Civil War, they're
yeah.
right. So that's why I had to like change my opinion on
And
it.
if you asked me when it first came out, I probably would have said this is an S tier because I was so hyped with it. I had so you know I enjoyed it and a lot, and then over time, I always did feel like, oh, people are kind of overhyping this. Like I'm looking at some of these movies and like I have it in A tier, but I'm definitely not ranking it above Homecoming or Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Doctor Strange or Avengers. It's probably like my last of the A tier. Like I think it deserves A tier. I think because of the soundtrack, because of the villain, um because of the visuals, because of the characters and stuff like that, I think it deserves an A. But it's definitely like the lowest of my A's.
Out of all the B's I have, Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man 2, it's better than those films.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's better than the films I have in my A rank, so that's why I'm going to
yeah,
keep it at B right now.
yeah.
All right, it's your turn.
My turn. All right, man, we got some bangers left now, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Let's go for Ragnarok. Let's
Okay,
finish
I was
off the
waiting for
Thor
that
trilogy.
one. All right.
Man, Thor Ragnarok, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I'll tell you right now.
You go first. I want to hear what you have to say because I'm thinking about it. I had to think about it a lot.
Thor Ragnarok has really good fun moments. I like the switch of tone. I think it is the right direction of Thor as a comedic personnel now.
Yeah.
It has really good stuff. I'm gonna go C though.
Really? I'm gonna go B.
I'm gonna
But
go
why?
C, but I don't think it's as bad as like Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so I'm going B. I love the direction they went with Thor. It does work well. Chris Hemsworth proved that he has a really good comedic presence, and him and
Yeah,
Loki, of course, together is awesome.
gold. Yeah,
Of course, partnering him up too with the Hulk, perfect. Getting Hulk into a different, different realm than
Hulk was
we're
pretty
used
damn
to.
funny in this movie. I would
Hulk
say.
was awesome, so funny. It's one of the funniest MCU movies out there. Not including like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's one of the funniest ones out there. I think it really does a great job comedic. I think Hela was a pretty decent villain. Not amazing, but
Should have been better.
should have been, but still, like, she destroys the hammer, which is cool, and she was very threatening. I just don't think there was much to her outside of the fact that she was very threatening. Um,
She looked
you
great.
know, yeah, her character design was awesome. Um, I think I like how they kind of defeated her. Like he wasn't strong enough, but he needed something else. He used Ragnarok to do it. I don't know, but the movie does feel. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It didn't hit for me. A lot of people really liked it. I remember when it came out, my friends were like, "Oh, dude, that movie was great." And I was one of the people that are like, "It's good. It's really fun." I just don't. It just doesn't knock out of the park for me.
No, I think it's missing threatness. Like Hela is
Yeah,
cool, but she's not a big ass. Like even though she fucks up Thor, it still doesn't feel like. I think because of the. I think because Thor works better as an ensemble cast than an actual solo film,
yeah,
and I think they did a good job of what they were gonna try to change. But I don't know, man. Like when I enjoyed it as much as I could, but I guess the element of planet like Hulk or Hulk
yeah,
like a planet Hulk, and it never
yeah,
came to fruition. Once again, they really dropped it with and then they paired him with Hulk because they knew that was gonna work.
yeah.
So that's kind of an ensemble. I like the introduction of Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie's great.
Oh yeah, Valkyrie was great.
Tessa Thompson.
Thompson, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little thing going on between her and Taika Waititi and Rita Ora. I think Taika Waititi is a very he's a very talented director. I think he did a good job. I'm very curious of what he does in Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was just a movie that I just didn't absolutely love when it was still a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a C to me. It's a C to
Okay.
me where I watched it, but I can never bring myself to go rewatch it all the time.
I'll say this. So I'm looking at my B list right now, and it's got Homecoming, Iron Man 3, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man.
Yeah,
I put it all over all those. It's my top of my B tier.
it's definitely like
Just
this.
I just think it's missing something to where I don't believe it deserves to be A tier.
It's the same feeling I had with Spider-Man: Far From Home. There's
Yeah.
something missing.
Yeah, there was something missing.
There's that threat factor kind of missing.
And I think when it first came out, I might have would have put it at A because even though I questioned it like a lot of my friends, I still like really enjoyed it. But as I watched it again, I'm like, it's good, but it just the humor doesn't carry, I guess, as much, and it's just
It's
like
better than the first Thor.
it's better than all. It's the best Thor movie.
Yeah,
like I said, I like the direction they went. I think they still need to try to balance it out better, but I like the direction they went.
okay. All right, so I have it at C, and you have it at
B.
Okay. All right, let's move along here.
Yeah.
We got some bangers, so I'm gonna get this
Yeah,
one because this is the least one. Okay.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and Wasp. I just rewatched this last night.
I haven't watched it in a while. He becomes large. I love the Wasp.
Yeah.
I don't like the villain. I think Yellow Jacket was kind of cooler than Ghost. Was it Ghost?
Yeah, it was Ghost. Yeah, the villain. They have a villain identity crisis in this movie.
They really do. And
Walter Goggins is in here.
As much as I love the Wasp, I'm going C.
I'm gonna go B. The same with the first Ant-Man, and I think it's better than the first Ant-Man. It's more fun. It's so much more fun. Like it's the fight scenes are a little bit more entertaining. The chemistry, I love when like they give him a suit that's malfunctioning, and he has to go to his daughter's class to get like the other suit that's in his trophy, and he's like stuck as a kid. The relationship between him and Hope is really good.
Yeah.
I do like the look of Ghost. It's just the problem is Ghost is not that intriguing of a villain. I guess. What else is it? Like I just literally watched this and I still had a lot of fun with it. You have the Michael Pena scene again. Still works. Chase sequence is good. Music's still banging. I really just had a lot of fun, man. Is it as good as Black Panther? I don't think it's a better movie than Black Panther. I rank them at the same, like the B level, but it's as I enjoyed it. It's definitely a definition of an MCU popcorn movie.
Yeah, it is a popcorn movie. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't care for it as much. Like I said, I love the Wasp and I found it fun. I don't know. It was something about it. Like I was disappointed with the villain. I was kind of just disappointed with it in general.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it just didn't carry as well for me as the first one did. And maybe because the first one came out and surprised me because the Ant-Man, the first one, I didn't watch for like a year. I was the only MCU movie I didn't really see in theaters and I didn't give a shot. I don't know why. I just wasn't interested in it. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh shit, this is really good. This is actually pretty fun to watch. I was like, I really enjoy this. And maybe that's what's getting me. Maybe that's what is why maybe I prefer the original Ant-Man over the Ant-Man and Wasp. I think you make good points. It's a lot of fun, but it just didn't carry as well for me as the first Ant-Man.
I know a lot of people like feel the same, so I know I'm going to be like kind of like one of the only ones out there that says I do enjoy it though.
You're better at being critical than I am, though. I go a lot off like how I feel, but you really look at the smaller details way better than I do.
I honestly thought the pacing was great in the movie. I
didn't think the pacing was bad.
I thought I never felt bored. I just thought, and then the quantum physics of everything was pretty funny and cool.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it. And then they go to San Francisco and he becomes Giant Man again.
Big, yeah.
And then there's the running joke of he learns card tricks. And then they brought that to the WandaVision with Wu. I thought that was hilarious. So,
that was awesome.
So I'll go B.
Okay. I appreciate it. All
right, let's get it.
We got it. We got 4 massive ones, man. It's hard to just decide which one.
All right, you go for it.
I'm gonna go with one. I'm gonna go with one that I think might be my favorite Marvel movie. I love it so much. Captain America's Civil War. I absolutely adore Captain America's Civil War. It is one that like I still have that. I like every time I've watched it, I still feel the same way I did when I walked out of the movie theater. I still love it. I love the dynamic between the the two splitting apart. Iron Man and Captain America, both their viewpoints I think are very interesting and almost justified in a lot of ways. And I was like, at first I was team Iron Man because Iron Man, it's Iron Man, Spider-Man, like it's Black Panther's on his side. Like I liked his side better, you know. But then like as I watched it, I was like, I kind of understand Captain America's point of view and where he's coming from, and him not wanting to be controlled by some government. And I also understand Tony, who has been through all this shit and wants to make sure that they are doing this the right way and that no more innocent lives, you know, they can avoid innocent lives being lost. Mm-hmm. And I like that it was the first movie. It was the first time they finally showed that, hey, things they do is killing a lot of people. Like, even, yes, they're being heroes, but people are dying because of the big explosions and stuff they cause. And I loved it. I felt like it took the MCU into in a crazy direction. Of course, it was a big movie that changed the MCU and where it was going. And of course, you got to talk about that the airport's fight scene between them was amazing. Such a blast. Everyone, just again shows how great the casting is for the MCU, because all these people have such great dynamics together. To see them fight against each other is so much fun. And then it just, to me, it gets better from that point, because I love when they go out and they go to the islands, and the fight between Iron Man and Captain America to seal it off, to me, is one of the most emotional fights. It's the most emotional fight in the entire MCU. It is beautifully done, beautifully choreographed. The shots on it are absolutely amazing. Zemo is interesting because he's not Zemo. He's not the Zemo that you would expect from the comics, but he does such a great job, even though he's not even in the movie that much, like being behind the scenes and orchestrating this whole thing to go down. And
you
it's
could even make an argument for Zemo being one of the best villains, but the problem is he just didn't have as much time.
Just doesn't do much. Yeah. So I love Zemo. This, to me, it's an easy S tier. I think it was just one of my favorites. Like I said, I love it. I love seeing these. Zemo didn't feel like the main villain. It felt like they were just the villain for each other, and that's what I liked a lot about it.
So Civil War is the first film where I said, like, okay, it slows down in quite a bit of parts throughout the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a film that I'm like, could I edit this down? And I watched the film and I'm like, I can't take anything out of here, because it just flows like that. So that was the first film I ever like kind of watched. I'm like, I really can't edit this down either too much or at all, because everything you kind of need while you're going. I thought it was crazy at the time because Black Panther got introduced, Chadwick Boseman, and he was going to be the kind of the replacement of if they didn't get Spider-Man in this deal. And it all worked out. They got Spider-Man. They redid a trailer. Boom! Spider-Man's in the MCU now. It's crazy. This film really really is kind of historic with a lot of things. Black Panther, Spider-Man, Civil War, which is a well-known comic. The fights in here are phenomenal. The airport scene is the most talked about thing in MCU lore. It's awesome. Ant-Man goes big for the first time. The fights are just well choreographed. The overall story is really intriguing. Here's the thing, though. I put it at A, because I don't think it's S ranked. Because Civil War is bigger than what they gave us. In the comics, Civil War is so much bigger. So much things happen. Spider-Man reveals his identity. That's one of the major things. I think Cap dies. It's huge. There's more characters. They only had so many characters at the time. And the reason why they called it Civil War was because a little movie was coming out called Batman v Superman. And Kevin Feige wanted something to rival Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman changed their date because they made the Civil War movie.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
That's crazy.
After all the, a lot of the Team Iron Man thing in this movie, the problem I have with it is like it's not really doesn't matter in the future movies.
No.
It just makes an excuse to rift these two characters and these characters apart.
Yeah.
It's not really, the chords kind of get thrown out the window at the end of everything. So it's there, but it's not. It should be there. It should be more talked about. There should be more repercussions. Like
Yeah,
that's the fault I have with the movie. But overall, with that, I do like the introduction of Spider-Man was awesome.
amazing.
The the Cap and Iron Man and Bucky fight was great. The
Hmm.
soundtrack, eerie soundtrack, when Winter Soldier murdered Tony's parents.
Hmm.
Zemo, I thought was awesome. So there's a lot to really love about Civil War, but there is things that I think at the time they couldn't really do, but they did have more time later on, and I do agree with a lot of the decisions they had after the movie. I just felt like Civil War was never Civil War to me. It was
Yeah,
more like an adaptation to Civil War, and it wasn't as big as it should have been later on. But as a film, it was good. It was really, really damn good. It's definitely something I would rewatch, but it takes me a while to rewatch because it is a longer movie.
it's a little slower.
It's a little bit slower,
It's a little slower.
but there's some awesome scenes. Like there's a scene where Bucky's on the run, and
Mm,
Black Panther's chasing him, Cap's chasing him. The
yeah,
famous Cap scene where he's pulling the helicopter.
yeah.
The scene where Iron Man doesn't have a
I think he
suit but he
tore
has the
his
hand.
bicep. Yeah,
Yeah, amazing stuff. All
yeah.
good stuff. There's so much good stuff here, but I can't go S rank because it's just still not Civil War to me.
Okay. Uh,
It's a fight between two groups.
okay. I get it. And I knew they like going into that movie. I knew they were never going to be able to do what they did in the comics
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they'd take too much build up. It would take too much movie.
The pro
It
the but I'm just saying like the character situation. I like. There's no way they were gonna do that.
no,
The problem I have with it is the implications. If you're going to introduce these accords, if you're going to
yeah.
introduce like the responsibility, that's a major thing, and it just
Yeah,
never went that route after the movie.
I get that. I get it. All
Okay.
right, your turn.
Oh yeah, I had
You
A,
got
you had S.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna say the two granddaddies, and we're
Hmm.
gonna go. But this is a granddaddy right here,
I know you love this one.
Captain America,
Yeah,
Winter Soldier.
and I feel like you didn't put Civil War at S just because I know you're putting this one at S.
No, well, Civil War, it's still a Cap movie
Yeah,
because it's still with the Bucky and a whole situation.
yeah,
But you can't tell me that that's like a Dark Knight like movie. Like Winter Soldier is the closest thing to MCU's Dark Knight because the Dark Knight, in my opinion, is probably the best comic book movie ever made.
yeah,
Even though it's not like a comic book movie, it's more grounded. But
yeah,
Winter Soldier has that element of being a comic book movie, but yet balancing like realistic stuff.
yeah.
Only fault I have with it is some of the CGI is a little wonky. There's a one scene when he's talking to Nick Fury, and it's really green screened. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the prequel Star Wars movies. But other than that, man, this thing goes. I never liked the romantic relationship between Steve and Natasha
Yeah.
in the comics, other media. But holy shit, man! You talk about chemistry. These two have chemistry, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't have been mad at all if they would have hooked these two together at the end.
Yeah.
They were yeah, even if it's not romantic, they work so well in this movie. Winter Soldier is a badass. He's not really a character like we know in Bucky. He's more of the
Yeah.
Terminator. And it works. The best hand-to-hand fight scene in any of these movies is in this movie. Falcon is introduced, and Anthony Mackie is such a well welcomed addition to the Cap Brotherhood,
Yeah.
and I can't praise this movie enough, man. From beginning to end, it's a spy espionage. It's a military. It's a mystery. It's Robert Redford, is a veteran actor in this movie, in the MCU movie.
Yeah.
Everything works. From the beginning works. The end works. The pacing's there. The tone is there. The CGI is wonky. You have the epic elevator fight scene, which is
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Cap suits. Every suit he's in this movie is awesome. He dons back the military suit. This movie is an S rank for a reason. This
Yeah.
movie is a movie that everybody was talking about how close it was to the Dark Knight.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing about Winter Soldier for me is when I first saw it again, I was younger, and for some reason I wasn't into it, and then it was around the time I met you that I rewatched it for the first time after a long time, and I was blown the fuck away. I was like, holy shit! I really slept on this movie. Like, man, it was. I mean, it was, you're right. It was an awesome spy espionage movie. I love the whole, Hydra was hiding inside within Shield, and that completely, of course, changed the MCU because Shield was such a big thing, at least in the first Avengers and stuff. Had the show, and that was such a big deal.
For that show, for sure.
For that
Hydra.
show. Hydra, yeah, Hydra was there.
That was a great twist. It was all Hydra.
It was all Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Well, it's crazy, awesome. And it's an awesome twist. Yeah, you're right, man. Him and Natasha, perfect chemistry, like awesome. A lot of fun to watch. They work really well together. Maybe because they're two like hand-to-hand combat kind of fighters,
and they work so well together. Scarlet and Chris, man. Scarlet and Chris nailed it. I think Scarlet Witch in this movie had more personality in this movie to me.
You mean Black Widow?
Yeah, Black Widow, Natasha. Yeah, like she seemed a little bit more flirty, a little bit more like she was on up and up. Of course, she had the mission in the beginning of the film. Like it all worked. It all worked. Yeah.
And Bucky Barnes, absolutely amazing. Like Bucky Barnes coming into it, Winter Soldier, complete badass. Maybe I'm a sucker because I'm a big Naruto fan. I love a friend trying to save a friend from darkness, from that evil shit. But it's an S. I mean, there's just it's an S tier. It's easy an S tier.
Yeah.
Because of everything about it. It's a great movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I do absolutely love it.
It's up there with Guardians for me for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it up there with Civil War and Guardians. Like to me, they're all almost on the same level. I wouldn't say I almost love one more than the other.
I do think Winter Soldier is better than Civil War.
Yeah.
I think it's just more. It's better paced. I think there's better action. Honestly, I think. Dude, the Nick Fury car chase is fucking awesome.
It is awesome, and maybe I do think, but I got to give Civil War the thing for having the scenes that are more memorable.
It's more
like the airplane, the airport scene, of course, one of the most memorable in MCU. I think the final fight is extremely memorable.
But I think the Winter Soldier's action is better.
You think? Okay.
I think it's more just because it's a little bit more grounded. So I think the John Wick crew worked on that film.
Yes, I did hear about that, which awesome. Yeah.
So S rank, both of us, we agree. Winter Soldier, phenomenal. S rank. I mean, there's no doubting it. It's that damn good.
Yeah.
So it's your choice. You got two of the back to back. It could have been one film, honestly.
Big deal.
Yeah, you have your choice in Infinity War or Endgame, and I actually have a good take on these guys. So either one of you take.
Let's start off with the first one. Let's go Infinity War. Infinity War was awesome. It did like exceed my expectations because I was going into it thinking maybe it'd be like the last two Avengers films where it's very campy, but it wasn't at all. Like it took itself very seriously, of course, still with its comedic things to it, but they lose hardcore in this movie, and I love it. I love every sense of it. I love I fall in love with Thanos. From beginning to end, I really had a great time watching the movie. There's not a lot I can say about that I didn't like. I like that they're split up. I like that each little story that we're getting, from them down on Earth fighting on Wakanda, from them fighting up in space against Thanos, and this is the big. This of course is the biggest of the big when they finally were kind of coming together. And we get to see these characters interact for the first time. Like we finally get to see the Guardians with everyone else. And it worked very well. Thanos was awesome, and it was great. Great start to it. Is that when they kill Gamora in that one? They kill Vision. You know, there's actual repercussions for the first time in the movies where the heroes are dying. And of course it ends with the big snap, and it's an awesome. I mean, we knew that it was gonna. At the end of the day, at some point, it was gonna get changed back. You know, people were gonna get saved or whatnot. But still, that scene where he snaps his fingers, and you see all your favorite heroes just start disappearing, is such an awesome moment. Such an awesome such an iconic.
Coming back.
Even though we come back, even though we knew it was an obvious. Of course, they're coming back. It's just on the how, you know, and it did so well. It knocked it out of the park, and I'm putting it S tier.
This is a movie that it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back. So
yeah,
when I was a kid, I always loved Return of the Jedi more. As I got older, I was like, no, Empire's a better film. When I walked out of this, I really loved it. No, I really liked it. I didn't love it. It was I forgot the reason why I didn't really love it. But then as I rewatched it, it's another opinion where I'm like, no, this is a really damn good movie. Yeah. This is like Empire. Yeah, man, I love this movie. I end up loving it. I think the pacing is actually a hell of a lot better than Endgame. And I love Endgame. Just next movie we're going to talk about. Yeah. But now I'm thinking, you know, out of the two, that was the question. Like, which one's better, Infinity War or Endgame? Yeah. And out of the two, thinking about it today, it's Infinity War.
Yep. I was going to say it.
It's a better written movie. It's a better. It's stakes, like you said, even though we knew it was going to happen, but it flows so much better. The characters are super balanced. I love the teams that they gave you. You know, you got Star-Lord, his crew with Tony and Peter, which is awesome. You had Doctor Strange meet up with Tony. You had all these guys kind of meet up a little bit here and there. You had Cap finally. The introduction to Cap finally back in there was fantastic. Awesome. Wakanda fight scene was great. I love the part when Cap and Black Panther are running and they're just booking it, running everybody. This is a better film. This is a better film. This is a more darker film, which I love.
I 100% agree.
Thanos' snap was really. I love the way they ended it. Like, it was just him sitting down and looking at the sun, and I was like, "This is like Godfather right here."
Yeah, he won?
Is it Godfather? No, it's not. Godfather's a great film. But it's a beautiful moment and a beautiful it's a great film. It's a film that I could say that now rewatching it, it's definitely rewatchability, and then there's also it's just a better written film, man. It's a better written film. It's a better paced film. Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%.
But
but you're in the but.
I had more enjoyment in Endgame.
Yep.
So I'm gonna put Endgame. I'm gonna put Infinity War S rank.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put Endgame on A rank.
Bruh.
Because Infinity War is a better written film, but Endgame is a better love letter film.
Bro, and maybe because we watched all this at the same time. I think we went and watched Endgame together, didn't we?
I think we did.
We did. No, and maybe because we
watched Infinity War. I watched Endgame with Josh, and I watched the Endgame before that too. And then we watched Infinity War when you were with what's her name at the time.
Yeah. I felt like we didn't watch Endgame together. But either way, we still watched these at the same time. We were together all the time, you know? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why we have almost the exact same opinion on this.
Okay,
because
so you're going A?
Because when I first watched and finished Endgame for like a year, I would tell you, oh, Endgame's the best Marvel movie ever. But
you knew how much I loved it. I even said it was the same feeling I had with Dark Knight. It's right there. Because of the feeling. Because of after getting out of that cinema experience, it was everything I wanted.
Endgame for me was probably the best cinematic experience I have ever had. Like being there, for me it was. Being there that opening night I forget who the hell I was with. I know I was with friends
Yeah.
who loved it too. It must have been my other drama friends, stuff like that. But being with a whole crowd of people and watching those moments happen, dude, of Captain America getting the freaking hammer, I cried. Like I freaking almost cried when that happened. Of them all coming out of the portal and being back and everything and all together. Finally, like everyone's all together. And all the like the little scenes of Cap being in the elevator and us being like, oh my god, is he gonna fight these people? And it just being that little Hail Hydra. Like you're right. It's a love letter. It is I think when we first talked about it, you compared it to the Best Hits album. Is like it's the best hits of what makes Marvel. It's definitely not a better written movie than Avengers Infinity War. My biggest complaint being what they did with Hulk. I think they definitely screwed over Hulk in that movie.
But then again, I love Professor Hulk. It's funny. Fun. Yeah.
It's very funny.
He's like, oh, hey, go green. Like, it's taking pictures. Like, he's not a menace anymore. Everybody loves him.
But they should have, in that final battle, they should have had a moment where he goes berserk. They should have let him go berserk. And that did bother me. That's just that little thing would have helped. It's not better than Infinity War on a movie standpoint because it's a little slower at times. There's kind of time travel is always kind of a risky thing. There's this and that, whatnot.
I think the time travel works until it gets to the Tony meeting his dad part and Cap seeing Carter again.
Yeah. So it's not like it's the best written film, but God, it is a damn fun film to watch. I watch it every day. It's just not as well put together, I think, as my top 4 S tier movies. And
like I love Rocket, how he goes to his comic book suit. I love the taco scene where Professor Hulk is.
It's his taco. Yeah.
So many, but it's like not overbearing comedy. It's like subtle comedy.
Yeah.
So this is like, because Infinity War had comedy, but not as much as Endgame.
No.
Natasha with Hawkeye. I really got a great sense. I was thrilled when they're all of them are about to go hit that time button.
Yeah.
In different eras. I thought that was fun. You know, going back to Star-Lord dancing. He's dancing like an idiot.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie is like, and then of course it just caps off at the end. I didn't even care. I loved Fat Thor. I know people had a problem with that, but I love the fact that he still is a badass. He still transforms at the end and fights Thanos.
Even like Fat Thor is him at like some of his probably his most depressed time in life. Like he failed, he lost half his people. Like he just was through all this shit. His brother died and everything, and he's still worthy of that hammer. People forget about that. Like he's still worthy of that hammer, even though he's suffering like from
and he has
depression.
Stormbringer too, which is awesome. Or Stormbreaker, I should say. Yeah. So I love the one funniest thing is like he's sitting down there and he's just like, is he alive? Is he dead? Like he's just like with his glasses on. Yeah. And then he's explaining, you know, the best thing they did was they gave him a moment with his mom. Thought that was great. Thought that was fantastic. And then, like you said, man, I will never forget the moment when I was in theater and when Captain America picked up Mjolnir.
Oh, dude.
I was one of the best movie experiences I've ever had in my life. I was like, whoa! Like, I was hyped, bro. And then Thor saying, like, I knew it. Like, that was awesome. Because that made me say, Cap, you my favorite.
Yeah.
Because you rooted for him. You had this, like, butterflies. You had this, like, little energy going on with you. Yeah. And you see him just kicking Thanos' ass, and you love it because he is a super soldier, but he's still human.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I mean, you got to give that whole ending, like, like, the butterflies are still there when I watch it. Yeah. Like, thinking about that moment of watching it in theaters, like, I get that feeling when I watch it of him picking up that hammer, and then also him walking alone by himself towards this army, towards Thanos' army.
That was my favorite.
Getting ready to fight. Like, he is ready. He doesn't care. He will go on by himself. And then all of a sudden hearing Sam in his ear crackling, being like, to your left, on your left, and hearing that and just like that moment of, oh my God. And like, dude, it gets me every time. I love watching the YouTube videos of freaking audiences reacting to it because it reminds me of when I was there and
the whole fight scene. My favorite was Wanda fucking.
Oh my god.
Could have taken out Thanos herself.
Yeah, she won. She one v one Thanos and would have
I
kicked his ass.
I'm glad they gave her that moment.
Mhm.
So Thanos is better written in Infinity War. He's a better written character. You
Yeah,
understand his motive. You understand his joy at the end. In here,
yeah,
you get a little bit of that Thanos in the beginning. In here, it's more of he's the villain now, and
yeah.
you just gotta kick
You
this
gotta
villain's
take him
ass.
out. Yeah,
But Infinity War, there's more layers. So that's that's the difference between the two. But honestly, you could just say make it one movie, and it's one
mm.
movie, and it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
agree.
gonna get. There's gonna be some stuff you probably want, but it's a perfect movie, man.
Yeah, it
It's a
was.
perfect movie.
I mean, you gotta look at Endgame and think like, I don't know if Marvel can ever top that. And if that is what makes me think like their future and like, man, I just don't know if Marvel can ever get back to.
They
It's
can
gonna.
because of the multiverse. Me and
Mm,
me and Mr. Marvel Albert himself, we talked about how you could reach the heights, and the only heights you're gonna reach like that is if you multiverse. It's
yeah,
already getting that height because we're already getting Toby and Andrew Gar. Like that's nuts.
that is
That's
crazy.
another
Like,
studio.
yeah, and that's a big deal. And I think they need that to keep the hype going because who knows what's gonna happen with Eternals and Shanghai.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows if those are gonna get? But the fact that they still
Shang
have
Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah, sorry. Um,
Mm,
they still have a lot to carry on. They still have Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor. They still have people. They still have things to carry, and if they play their cards right, and hey, if Fantastic Four ends up being a movie, if it ends up finally giving us a Fantastic Four movie worth watching,
yeah.
MCU will bring me right back in, and that's
I
the one thing.
I
Yeah,
think after discussing all these MCU movies, I think that we might see Robert, Chris Evans for sure. I think you'll see some of these cats come back for one final battle.
I think so too. I think I
Multiverse.
think I think I've heard rumors that Robert might be back for the Ironheart series.
I need him to
Um,
be back for the last kind of like big Avengers movie.
I do too. But who knows when they want to do like how many
I
years and how
know.
many movies will they go? And because they're gonna milk it as long as they can.
It's going to be interesting. I hope they bring him
And
back though before,
when
you know.
when will it die down? When will it like? It'll probably hit some stutters. It'll probably hit. It's got to hit a few like Captain Marvel. It's gonna hit those where it's like, nope, can't do this. Got to try this. I think it's in its. I think this next phase is going with Eternals and Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
Shang-Chi,
I
and Fantastic Four. It's bringing it. It's building it up again. It's about building back and building up with new characters and new worlds. I
We'll see how
guess.
it goes though. They got to try something different. I think the multiverse is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Agree.
All right, so we did it. We got through all 23 MCU films, and there's going to be more and later on. As these movies keep pumping out, we got Black Widow releasing in theaters on Friday, and then on Disney Plus as well. That's not a I'm not getting paid to say that, but it is. It's true. You also have Loki every Tuesday night, so 2 more episodes on that. That's going to really set up the MCU in the future for sure, especially what's going on right now. Shang-Chi, The Eternals, we talked about it. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. You also have Hawkeye, the series.
Yeah.
Ironheart. So much MCU shit dropping.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Later on, Blade. I can't wait for Blade.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, No Way Home trailer's going to drop pretty soon.
Yeah.
So that's our ranking. This is the raw video on my side. I will be uploading the finished edited video so you can see our tier list and how we did it. But yeah, only 4 movies in the MCU that have S ranked tier.
Yep.
But all fantastic. I mean, the MCU has done a fantastic job. It's not a bad job they've been doing with pumping out these movies.
Yeah,
So,
they've had more hits than misses.
exactly.
Far more hits than misses. Yeah.
So, Overdue, where can we find you on Twitch?
Yeah, you can find me at Overdue Bobcat 50 on Twitch.com. Do a lot of gaming stuff. So if you like gaming, come on and chat with me.
You can also find me on YouTube at Dan Demand Reviews, or you can find me on Instagram at Dan Demand Reviews. I have a lot of I posted quite a bit on there recently, and then of course on YouTube I posted my Raider Allegiant Stadium tour video I just did, and then I'm also going to, of course, post the Black Widow review once I watch it. Trying to get this guy to watch F9 so we could do a review on that one.
I know. We're working on it right now. I'm waiting for my free tickets.
Okay, there you go. Free tickets
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I want to go see it for free.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. It helps with the algorithm. You guys have a good rest of your week, and you can find us at our channels, and we'll be talking more stuff in the future, man.